weird. Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is the return. I don't know what number return this is for Moshe Kasher, but I do know it is one of my all-time favorite episodes ever. He is a delight. We had such a fun time. He has a new book out now called Subculture Vulture. You should check that out. Check out anything Moshe is doing. He's always just such a reliable joy, and we had such a fun time. I should mention we recorded this a few days ago, and it was before any news came out about Stephen Hawking. I don't even know the details of that Epstein list or whatever, but there's some riffs in here that you'll be like, why aren't they talking about that? Because you know we love talking about Stephen Hawking, and it's because we didn't know yet. So that's why. We recorded this before any of that news, which I'm still not familiar with, but there you go. Just wanted to say that up top. I'm going to be at Largo on January 30th this month, largo-la.com. And whenever you listen to this, I am at Largo, a theater in Los Angeles, once a month, every month. So just go to largo-la.com and look for Pete Holmes living at Largo. Always the highlight of my month. Always so fun to have weirdos there. I'm also going to be doing the Netflix is a Joke Fest on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And please be with me in Los Angeles. Go to peteholmes.com for tickets to that. Also Chicago, also in May. Not too much to plug. If you like this show and you want to support it, why not try a Pete's Pick like LMNT? I've been giving so many of my friends LMNT. What is LMNT? It's a hydration superpower, basically, because healthy hydration isn't just about drinking water. It's water plus electrolytes, and that's what LMNT is. It's incredible in the morning. Dr. Andrew Huberman promotes drinking a salty water in the morning to get that neuroconnectivity going, to jumpstart your day. That's when I drink my LMNT. Not only does it give you magnesium and potassium and salt that you need to get that hydration into your cells, but it also tastes fantastic, which also leads to drinking more water and feeling better. LMNT has been a huge part of my wellness program. I give it to friends who exercise. They drink it after a jog. They say it basically floods them with everything that they just sweat out. I, of course, drink it after I work out or after I sauna, but I also just drink it after a flight. Anytime that I'm in a situation that I know dehydrated me and I want to flood that into me, I drink it before shows because there's nothing better than that rush of the magnesium, the potassium, and the salt that just gives your body what it needs. Hydration is so much more than just drinking water. Get LMNT into your life. I love their watermelon salt flavor. I also love their chocolate salt flavor, which I drink hot at night sometimes. I often find if you drink it before bed, I don't get up to pee. Something about the salt processing the water, I can't explain it. I absolutely love it. It is a game changer, and if LMNT doesn't exceed your expectations, they have a no questions asked refund policy. You don't even need to send it back. And they came up with a fantastic offer for us. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird. Use promo code weird, and you'll get a free LMNT sample pack with any order, which I love because you can try all the different flavors. Some of them are spicy, which I really love. Some of them are more sweet, like the watermelon. That's my daily. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird. Use promo code weird. Support your body, support healthy hydration, and support the show. We're also brought to us by our friends at the Open app. If you're like me, you've always been out there looking for the secrets to success, which is really just another way of saying, how can we overcome the problems that so many of us face in our daily lives? Problems like sleep, stress, focus, and for me, setting up, maintaining daily healthy habits. This is the secret, obviously, but we sometimes need help, and I found that in the Open app. I recently discovered this wonderful tool. If you'd like me, you've tried it all, trendy diets, books, even bad things like drawing the blinds, taking an edible, and watching bad movies all day. Avoidance is not the solution. It took me years to find a better way, and now I'm passing it on to you. The Open method is simple, and it works. It combines breath work, meditation, and fitness, and they have a badass community of people doing it all together. They're all committed to personal growth, so you have that accountability and that community to join. Open is the only thing I do every day that sets me up for success. I usually do the breath work in the morning. Makes me feel more focused than coffee, floods your body with just like good life energy and dials you in. The breath work, it's so fun to do, but I need that guidance. I need that help, and the Open app is wonderful at that. I also do their nighttime meditation before bed, and I fall asleep in under 10 minutes every time. If it was just that, it would be awesome. but it's so much more, and the fitness and the community. It's incredibly well designed. You'll know when you see it. My only regret is not starting sooner. The app will change your life. So if you want to get on my daily routine, you can get 30 days free of Open by visiting withopen.com/weird. Again, 30 days free by visiting withopen.com/weird. Oh, and if you're in LA, make sure you check out their new studio to practice with Open in person. Support your body, support your breath, support your fitness, support your life, and support the show. All right, everybody, get into Moshe Kasher and check out Subculture Vulture. Available now. Get into it. You smell good.
Thanks. That looks awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're right by the Modern Mammals.
No, Modern Mammals is the best shampoo there is.
I'm excited to try it.
That's for you.
Oh, really?
But we can put this in front of the Modern Mammals
Ooh.
as long as we say we're doing it. They don't pay for that. That's just your gift.
I'm excited.
You really are going to like it. Have you heard me talk about it?
No, honestly, I have not. No.
Oh.
I've heard you talk about bracelets that zap you.
Doesn't zap you.
Doesn't it buzz you?
You can feel it. It's on right now. See? Barely. Nothing. Barely.
It isn't even doing anything.
It's not on.
Oh, you have to. And I've heard you talk about
I'm going to turn it on.
a beverage.
Magic Mind. It's right there. It's for
See?
you.
I know my Holmes.
I really appreciate
merch
it.
trivia.
I was going to research you, and then I realized it's your book.
You were going to research me?
Well, I called you last night, and I meant to say, I forgot. I didn't forget, but I wasn't. I did forget.
You forgot what? Just that I was coming?
But here's the passive voice. No. I wasn't quite clear on why now we're doing another pod, and it's because of the book. I remembered, but I couldn't read it because it's not on audio yet.
Oh, I should have just sent. Oh, do you only audio?
No, it's not that I only audio, but if I have a guest promoting a book, it's like 90 minutes to come in. I'll listen to it for 90 minutes. You'd be shocked. I know you're a host.
How much you can get out of 90 minutes?
The first 90 minutes of somebody's book, you're an expert at that book.
That's fair. Although I will
You're
say,
very good at talking about that book. Go ahead.
I will say this. First of all, you made it weird as a long podcast, right? We can say that. That's not sacrilege to say. You guys go longer.
Oh, I don't understand.
Than an
Yeah,
hour.
of course. Yeah.
Okay, I got great news. I'm here. I have the book.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and read the first 90 minutes of the book. I mean, honestly, the sound equipment you've got
I
is...
didn't even see the riff coming. I didn't see it coming. Put the Random House side out.
But I was going to say, this book, of many comedians' books, you perhaps don't know all there is to know about...
After 90 minutes?
After 90 minutes.
Well, 90 minutes is... I bet... How long is this read? Have you done the audio yet?
I have done the
You
audio.
can leave it like that. I like that.
You like it akimbo
I like
there
a-
on the pen?
Akimbo.
Because the book is a memoir in 6 scenes. That's the subtitle, right? And it goes through...
It doesn't say that.
It
There it is.
does.
A
It does
memoir
indeed.
in 6 scenes. And here you are as a Japanese anime.
I'm so shocked as a new age aficionado.
I love it.
As a Ramdassian even.
No, a Ramdassian. No, I love this. I shouldn't tease.
No, but
I forgot that it's kind of vulnerable picking a cover. This is great. I just went into riff mode. You're just very cleaned up here.
It's Shiva. It's Shiva herself.
Yeah, Shiva's dice game.
Wait, is Shiva a her?
Shiva's I always get it wrong, actually. So
Right.
don't ask me. I think Shiva's a woman.
Well, we've got 1 billion people that will write in and tell us if we're wrong. But
Yeah, that's true.
it is me reaching into each of the 6 universes that have created the meanness.
Well, that's
of
interesting.
me.
Is that there's the Buddhist 5 wheel? Is that
It's
that
not
it?
connected
It's
to
not like
that,
Okay,
although
yeah.
maybe subconsciously.
Maybe unconsciously. So let me see if I can interpret the cover.
Yeah, riff 'em out.
Not even riffs, because I honestly forgot how vulnerable it is.
To pick a cover or to write a book?
Just to write a book, to put out a cover, I came at it with the wrong energy.
To me, I didn't take it that way.
No, I know, but I was checking myself. Rarely seen before I wreck myself.
Well, no, yeah.
It's
wow.
usually right after
Oh,
I
the
wreck
pre-wreck
myself.
yourself.
The pre-rec yourself.
Wow, I didn't even. Wow, that's a rare sighting.
The pre-rec yourself is a prerequisite for a good interview.
Would you know who is prone to pre-checking oneself before we pre-rec oneself?
Tell me.
A comedy sex god.
What?
That's sort of their I would say their primary characteristic is that they check themselves.
I do have very mild, like the flavor of cilantro and guacamole.
Okay.
That much regret. Sometimes I wish I
Oh,
called
the title?
I sometimes wish I'm going to pitch it to you.
Yeah, okay.
What if I had called it? Because there's that trend of blank and blank and blank and blank. I sometimes wish I had called it comedy and sex and God. Like funny that you're saying "and" too many times.
Comedy. I am a big fan of the mouthful of a title.
Comedy and sex and God.
I just like a big over explanation. My first book's title was Kasher in the Rye: The True Tale of a White Boy from Oakland Who Became a Drug Addict, Criminal, Mental Patient,
Very
and
Fiona
then turned
Apple's
16.
second album. Yeah.
That was the homage. Now I didn't do the Buddhist 5 points of whatever, but I did do Fiona Apple's second album.
Yeah, that's the esoteric you're into.
Comedy and sex and God. I think they are
Equal.
lateral.
It's
yeah.
sixes.
I think
as we
it's
say.
Yeah, I think that is what you say.
It's my favorite writer's room term.
Speaking of sixes,
Sixes means six of one, half a dozen of another, but you just say sixes.
speaking
meaning
of
it means
sixes,
the same.
this is six scenes. Let's see if you can identify them by iconography only.
Absolutely. Well, you love music and psychedelic. Well, that looks more like ecstasy than a psychedelic.
This is good. The clues are coming in. Wait, you didn't guess.
What is the?
What's the scene?
What do you mean by a scene? That's your rave scene.
Yes, good. Ding.
Okay. CC close. Oh, the deaf scene.
The deaf scene. I'm
yeah.
big in the deaf scene.
You're huge.
I've been, yes.
Yeah.
I'm an honorary,
By the way,
big-time honorary member of the
when you
deaf scene.
search your name, because I did, because
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a new special or something,
Yeah.
because I would have watched it. The questions that come up on Google.
Oh, boy.
No, it's funny. It's
Okay, good. Yes.
Who wrote Kasher in the Rye? And I'm filled with internet delight because I'm like, you're halfway there.
I'll tell you what I think it is.
Who wrote Kasher in the Rye?
I think
Who's in Being John Malkovich? Who's in
I honestly
that?
think it's a J.D. Salinger problem. I
Well,
remember
yeah.
when my book first came out, I went into a Barnes & Noble to pick up a box of books to sell at I was at a comedy club next door to a Barnes & Noble in, I think, St. Louis. And Pittsburgh. No, it was Pittsburgh.
Brag.
I know that the listeners were like, where was it? And it was Pittsburgh. And I went in and I go, hey, I'm here to pick up a book, a box of the book Kasher in the Rye. And the woman behind the counter goes, I love that book. And I go, I wrote that book. And she goes,
thought you were JD?
You wrote Kasher in the Rye. So I think that's the issue.
Yeah, we both have books with some confusion factor baked in.
What's yours?
That people think I'm calling myself a comedy sex god. You just did it.
I see.
That is the joke. The joke is, because I said to my editor, I was like, people are going to think I'm saying Pete Holmes comedy sex god. Like, that sounds like a Russell Brand, I know, scandal noted, but it sounds like something he would
Is that
say.
how you do it now?
Scandal
you just
noted.
say scandal noted?
I thought we talked about that, didn't we?
I don't know, but I do.
I feel like you were one of the people who were like, I'm going to do that, because it takes too long to be like, I understand and I hereby acknowledge.
I unpack the sins of the past.
Yeah. And all kidding aside, it's a nice way to be like, I'm in the same reality we all are.
Scandal noted. I like
Scandal
that.
noted.
That doesn't feel like it gives as much honor
is-
to as people want.
I agree. And that makes it funny.
Yes.
It's kind of like being like, rest in peace. You know what I mean? It's
May
not
his
enough.
name be blessed.
What's that?
May his name be blessed.
May his name be blessed.
May his name be blotted from the book of life. That's what we should say.
May their name be blotted from the book of life. But
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't want to blot Russell
don't wanna
Brand's name.
blot-
Can I just ask you one question? And I know this is your podcast.
Is it a Russell Brand question?
Would you like Russell Brand's name to be blotted from the book of life? That's my
What if
opening.
we just cut to color bars? Like, what if I was flooded with panic? Like, there's no right way to answer this.
It's the ESPN theme. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
That is so. It's the act break.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
It zooms in on my beating sweat.
And then when you come back, it's just Russell Brand here. Our guest today. All right.
If you're Russell Brand,
Yeah.
completely scandal-free question.
Okay.
You going as Captain Jack Sparrow for Halloween? You just getting a big coat?
Are you dressing up as Captain Jack
What
Sparrow
I'm saying
if you're
is you're
Russell
a
Brand?
big coat away from a rockin' Captain Jack Sparrow.
This does feel like a riff from before
It
Scandal
is
Noted.
pre-scandal.
This is a pre-scandal.
Yeah. This is not a good area. Princess Di walks up and talks about the landmines that are all over this area.
Let me just ask you this. If you're Woody Allen, are you dressing as a private investigator for Halloween? You're just a hat and a trench coat away.
That is A+. That is A+. That is A+. You could have gone nerd.
Yes.
You went private eye, which is better.
A 1970s Private Eye.
Yeah. Classic. I'd want Woody on the case, not his own case.
No, he definitely. Actually, to be honest, he got really involved in his own case.
I know.
Hey, anyway, I got a book coming out.
The Deaf World.
The Deaf World.
I am going as Russell.
Okay, good.
No, I'm not going as Russell. Russell, if I were, never mind.
That would be, Pete, let me just say, if you dressed as Russell Brand for Halloween,
Yes.
I wouldn't know how to analyze you.
That would be a very confusing.
I would text my friends about it. Did you hear
can I
Pete
say,
dressed up
though,
as Russell Brand for?
There's something alluring about that. I'm never going to do it, but it makes me happy that the world still has choices that are pretty benign. You know, it's not that hurtful, but it's hurtful. It's wrong, but it reminds me that the world can still be completely insane. Like, you know, like the feeling of jelly in your shoe, just weird. And what I'm saying is, I would never do it. I do kind of wish I would do it for you. The fun for you to be at a Halloween party and be like, is Pete Russell Brand?
Well, it's actually
And like that weird feeling you'd get.
It's a funny riff that you. I definitely think we should get off this topic, but it's a funny riff that you mentioned Princess Di because I just watched the last episode of The Crown.
That's why it's on my
and the
mind.
guy dressed up as.
I haven't seen the last one.
Well, it's in the news.
What do you mean?
It happened a long time ago.
No, I know, but like Nate Bargatze's bit where he's like, I don't know anything about history because whenever I watch a historical movie, I'm on the edge of my seat. I watch that going like, they were in the car together? Like, I don't know anything.
Well, Prince Willie, our boy.
Prince William?
Actually, our neighbor.
He lives
Really up there.
Oh.
He dressed as a Nazi on Halloween one year.
I thought that was Prince Harry.
Yeah, that guy. Him.
Harry.
I truly
redhead.
have never been able to tell them apart.
The redhead.
Habsburgs have always confused me.
Habsburgs?
Aren't they Habsburgs?
Can I give you my hot crown riff?
Yeah.
It's a whole family of first ladies.
Aha.
Doesn't that help you understand it? Like, America's so confused. What is the royal family? It's like they're first ladies. I'm not trying to diminish first ladies, but it's like celebrity, it's charity, it's appearances. There's no like signing bills or like starting wars, but there's political life in the same way that Michelle Obama, you know what I mean? It's 30 Michelle Obamas in a very nice house.
Do you think we would be a better off country if we had a royal family?
I think what's great about it, and I'm really not like a shit giver about the royal family, but what's great about it is human beings make meaning, right?
Yeah.
And like we do it with comedy all the time. It's sacred. There's a way to do it. There's a right way to do it. Almost like in the way that like artists study under other visual artists study under them, and then they're minted. Like we have that. Like he opened for them. He did the thing, and that gives a richness to the comedy world that we enjoy.
Right.
And it, like a hobby, like a very rich hobby. And in the same way, a royal family gives a national identity that's more rich, deeper, more to play with. We just have, go.
That's sort of the thing I think people miss about royalty. I mean, the problem with royalty is that it has been used exclusively, almost exclusively. In the modern era, it's more what you're saying. But in history, it's been used exclusively to essentially say, you are going to be the poor people from time immemorial. We will take the fruit of your labor and the fat of your land, and we'll come rich, and you'll get poorer and poorer.
Right.
But you're right that I think one of the primary diseases... Thank you. I think one of the... could you do that on a... Let me just start the book. Subculture Vulture by Moshe Kasher, a memoir in 6 scenes. I think one of the primary diseases of America is our sort of horrifying lack of ritual. And
I agree.
And the primary thing that we tell immigrants to do...
By the way, that's... Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not crazy about it, but at least we had...
You like it a little bit.
What I'm saying, what I liked about, because I remember feeling uncomfortable doing it
as a
my high
youth. You
school.
felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, just being weird. No one was doing it.
Uh-huh.
And when I first started public school, I was excited to do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. No one stood up.
Oh, you went to private school and never did it.
Never did it.
Interesting.
Went to public school and was like, here we go.
Yeah.
I want a flapping flag. I'd like to believe in something.
That's how I felt the first time I went to a non-Jewish wedding. The priest goes, or whoever goes, do you, Pete, take this woman to be your love? And I go, oh, they're doing it. This is the thing.
This is the thing.
I've seen this in so many movies.
Not just saying this. The Jewish tradition is lapping it.
Is better.
I have, lapped. like a race, going the right way.
Yeah. The Jewish wedding ceremony is, I would say, one of our best calling cards.
Your wedding, we had to go because of Val wasn't feeling well. She had like a
Oh, I
health
thought you meant
thing.
you had to go to the wedding.
No, we had to leave. But
Oh, yeah, I
I did
remember.
get to see the cantor and the chairs, like chair lifting, glass smashing, all of these things. And we, just going to concede that I sound old, but I'm like, when you get older, you go like, oh, it's up to us. It's all up to us to make the world magic, meaningful, and to be like, this is why we don't just jump off a cliff. It's because you'll step on a glass and your friends will lift you up and a guy's gonna sing. And Hava Nagila is it slaps. I'm gonna say it.
It is a
fucking
banger.
slaps.
It
It's
slaps.
a banger.
Yep.
And I've never admitted this, but I've never been at a Jewish wedding. I was just at one. And when they're doing the chair thing, I get so emotional.
Is that right?
I get so emotional and a little bit cilantro and guac jealous, like that much jealous that I'm like, we have nothing like that.
Speaking of meaning, do you know the reason for the glass? Are you familiar
I've
with
heard different theories in the same way that the Hindus and the cows and why they drink milk but don't eat the meat. But I've never heard a good one. Give it.
Well, I think this is correct, but I'm now curious to hear what other theories you've heard. The reason for the glass, and it is never more timely than now, although it's always never more timely than now, is that it symbolizes one specific thing, which is the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. But it doesn't really represent that anymore. What it really represents is that even in times of great celebration, simcha as they call it in the
Yes.
Hebrew, one should always remember that there's tragedy and pain and
Yes.
suffering.
Yes.
And so even in the highest moment of your
Yes.
celebration of a life, you smash the glass to remind you that the world is broken and that it needs, they call it tikkun olam, it needs repair. And you should always be mindful of
That
that.
means no worries.
That's right. Tikkun olam. What a wonderful thing.
I only do the Rogan one. It means no worries. That's my Lion King. That's my Lion King.
I only do the Nathan Lane one.
The rich.
Because that's my Lion King.
That's obviously everyone's Lion King.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I say completely humorlessly. That's everyone's Lion King.
It is true that is everyone's Lion King.
I love that, and that really. I remember it was one of my first macabre thoughts.
Now you're speaking Hebrew?
Macabre thoughts. I do have Hebrew jealousy. When you said that, I got chills.
You wish you spoke Hebrew?
Well, we're back to meaning making.
Yeah.
And culture. I understand Hebrew school and you tell me there might be a certain undesirable element to that, but I'll say from like
They do call my people undesirables, yes.
We'll be right back, and we'll
be right back with Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, that's what I was going to say. So Moshe, like the adrenalized sort of way that you go about the Torah, yeah? Was that good?
Yeah,
It was just kind of standard Cockney kind of.
He is standard Cockney. Let's
SC.
not talk about Russell Brand again on this
SC,
podcast.
which is Sports Center.
Da-na-na, da-na-na. You tune back into Sports Center today.
Yeah.
We got the 76ers are down 42 points to 12 against the Golden State Warriors. COVID is a lie. The election was stolen.
This is your new racist Stephen Hawking. Russell Brand, Sports Center host. It's absolutely mental. They're at the 50-yard line. This is where they buried Jimmy Hoffa.
Our special guest today, a man close to my heart, is racist Stephen Hawking.
Hello, Russell, and thank you for having me. You know when I liked basketball was in the 1940s, before all the you-know-who came into the league.
We're back, baby!
Back when it was more layups and professionally done three-pointers.
If there's a sport that's close to my heart, it is yacht racing, and I think you know why. It's not the boats, if you know what I'm saying.
And you wanted to move away from Russell Brand.
But it got us
It
here.
got us here. You gotta break a few eggs.
You gotta smash a few glasses to get
That's
to
it.
racist Stephen Hawking.
But my macabre thought in college was, wouldn't it be funny to win the lottery or some other, like you win the Nobel Peace Prize, whatever it is, and instead of an acceptance speech, you kill yourself.
Wait, on stage?
Yeah, what it was playing with the idea of really, honestly, what that tradition is acknowledging is you go to Disneyland, some of the people in the costumes are, going through a breakup.
Right.
Some of them are having the worst day of their lives. In fact, when I drive on the highway, I go, just remember some of these people are having the worst day of their lives.
That's that David Foster Wallace This Is Water thing.
Which changed my life.
It changed my life too.
Love This Is Water.
Unfortunately, the only available recording of it on YouTube has like weird new age music over it. But I did force Natasha to listen to it on like our second date. Now that's a good second date.
That is a good second date.
That's a good
third date.
Insufferable second date.
Yeah.
I would like to play you a David Foster Wallace clip with.
What a gift, though. See, there's different kinds of folks. And this is one of the reasons why we get along. If I heard This Is Water and I said to you, I just heard This Is Water, and you're like, I heard that like 10 years ago, I would be like, why didn't you tell me about it? Birbiglia and I talk about this all the time. We're advice guys. I wouldn't say I like giving it, but I like having received it, and then I like sharing it is a better way to put it.
You were recently on the advice podcast, The Endless Honeymoon, and you were wonderful on that. It's one that I host with my wife, Natasha Leggero.
I'm glad. You know what sticks out for me is when I got a little too, sometimes I let the kite out a little too much, and I started talking about how your mind, we know you can make sounds in your mind and you can make images in your mind, and when an image appears in your mind and then it dissolves, it's not dissolving into nothing, it's dissolving. I started doing that, and I remember you very skillfully being like, let's go back, and like you moved me on, and I was like, it was loving. I love going super deep, but I loved you expertly hosted me as a guest.
That's nice. I actually love going off into the ether too.
No, you do, but there is something, I'm not going to say it's too far, but sometimes it's like, maybe let's stop.
Well, no, it actually does connect back to the book in a weird way, which is that I've been thinking
Subculture Vulture?
Subculture Vulture. It's the third panel that you haven't yet.
Subculture Vulture and an occasional mulcher. And you have a pitchfork
I have a rake.
and mulch.
It's about my journey through gardening.
Yeah, Subculture Vulture and sometimes a mulcher.
An occasional mulcher, comedy and sex and God.
I can't
Would
think
you
of
be
any
upset
ulchers.
if I named my book Subculture Vulture and Comedy and Sex and God?
No.
No?
No. Okay. I'd be thrilled. Because your book would come up and it would say, people also bought, you know what I mean?
People also bought the book that he plagiarized. Comedy,
My
sex.
friend Rob Bell has a book called Sex God, and mine's called Comedy, Sex
Oh,
God.
interesting.
Yeah, and that occurred to me, and I was like, I think it's fine.
And did you ever talk to him about it?
No, that's how fine I assumed it was, but like very, very different.
Oh,
But yeah.
So what I was going to say was, the third panel. That one actually has what it is.
Oh, wait, I want to guess it.
I mean, that
So
one's
deaf culture, queer culture? No, sobriety.
sobriety.
What is this? Isn't this just like a genderless bathroom?
That is not a genderless bathroom.
Oh, no,
that
I'm
is
embarrassed.
that is the AA symbol.
It is?
In fact, yeah.
I didn't know it was so,
The queer thing that you saw, it is
Yeah.
pink, is an upside down triangle in a circle. Oh. And the right side up triangle in the circle is the AA symbol, and each side of the triangle represents like unity, service, and recovery. I guess the three prongs.
Aren't you worried that like, an upside down cross means antichrist? Don't you think that's a little homophobic for a symbol?
That's a very interesting idea, and I was definitely hoping that nobody would notice that was the reason I put it on the cover.
Slow pushing.
Yeah.
What's Moshe going to say? Called out!
You tuned in right to right.
Yes, you don't
welcome
like
back
the
to
guys.
Sports Center.
Are you punching down?
But the AA's 12. I'm not in AA anymore, and it's been a long time since I have been, and it was a very long and arduous kind of process, and that's what that section of the book is about. Is my kind of
That would be AAA, like atonal. Like how A means not. So you're
Yes.
not an AA.
Oh, I mean,
AAA,
I'm sure AAA.
which means I can rely on you to tow me because I know you're not drunk.
But isn't atonal kind of anti-tonal? I would say that I'm not
Amoral then.
anti-moral, yes? Or just no moral?
No moral.
Yeah. But I couldn't say that either because I still, it's been, I think, probably 10 years since I've been to a meeting. I've been sober. I just was sober.
I was going to say that's great. That is great, right?
For
Isn't
me-
that like saying like I don't see my therapist anymore? Like we did it.
Well, that's funny you say that because that's a real taboo.
Really? That's why I was careful to.
inside of AA. It's not a taboo for me. I'm happy to say it. I would not ever tell a person in recovery, I grew beyond recovery. I don't think that. I first of all don't think that that's true. But you would be. It is more of a taboo to say that, to be in an AA meeting and say, I'm over this, I don't need it anymore, I'm moving on, it no longer has anything to offer me, than to say, I am going to take LSD in the bathroom of this meeting right now. Wow. That would be accepted more, much more.
Yeah.
It would create much less antagonism to say something like that than to say, I'm over this, I don't
know the
need
parallel,
it.
but it reminds me of how like you can be smoking somewhere and then people get mad and you're like, it's weed. You know, like there's a parallel there where it's like, don't worry, it's weed. It's not a cigarette. I hear what you're saying.
I think the parallel is pretty clear. It would be, you tell me as a Christian.
Parallel.
It will be right. Going into being at a church and saying, I love the church, I love Christianity, but I'm moving past it and I don't need it anymore.
You have, okay, so Ram Dass, we're not going to, this is tricky. I'm not even in AA. I love AA, meaning...
I love AA too, and I think that
I know, but I feel like a phony saying that, having not. I've been to some meetings and stuff, but I wouldn't say like I'm in the thing. I love it, meaning Richard Rohr wrote a book that I love. I think it's on the shelf called Breathing Underwater. It's called God and the 12 Steps, and I just gobbled it up. And Compare and Despair and Worker Among Workers. So all these things have like informed my not drinking and stuff. So I'm nervous, even though I'm not a part of it. But Ram Dass does have some. I remember listening to it and being like, "This is kind of gangster."
I know the passage
where
I can't even tell you. I swear to God, Pete, this is not a joke.
Swear to me.
So I swear to Pete. I swear to comedy and sex and God. That the clip of Ram Dass talking about what you're about to talk about is only available, I'm not kidding, on YouTube with New Age music over it. I swear. That is true.
I can tell you where to find it clean.
But I know the exact one that you're talking about. It's about people becoming addicted to being sober.
Exactly. And he kind of makes a cheeky joke where he's like, my name is Bill. I'm an addict. And he goes, I'm Dick. Like his name is Richard. So he's like, I'm Dick. Meaning, and this is really thin ice. So let's just enjoy the thrill. Like me being Russell Brand for Halloween. Just enjoy how weird this is. We do, whether it's AA or anything, there's always a temptation as human beings to want an identity and to pour yourself into different containers. And spirituality, at its like most expansive, is all about dropping all of it.
Yeah.
And going like, yeah, that's a game. That's part of my story. I'm in recovery. But really, like, he would say that that's kind of a trap, is to be like, I'm this. Or you could say, I'm a vegan. Yeah. God damn it. Like anything that makes you rigid, he would be like, can we introduce some air into this?
Well,
hard to talk about.
It is hard to talk about, and it was one of my main anxieties in writing this particular book. Was I knew that part of this book was going to be discussing in frank terms, because my first book, I know that it really affected a lot of people in their early recovery journey. My first book is all about my sort of trials and tribulations as a young
Catcher in the Rye?
Catcher in the Rye. It's all about like me discovering phonies in the world.
Yeah, and the guy that shot John Lennon is a huge fan of yours.
And that was by design.
Yeah, of course.
That was messaging that I put in.
Yeah,
in the similar way that the homophobic symbol is on the cover of this.
Yeah.
That messaging.
The Fibonacci sequence, if you read every fourth word, 7 word, whatever the Fibonacci sequence is, that says... Find him.
Yes, find him. And I wrote the Fibonacci sequence. I am a Fibonacci. I am Fibonacci. I am progressive Fibonacci. And I'll tell you who I hate is a racist Stephen Hawking. We're both the members of the scientific society, but he just keeps talking about the race and the woke culture that he thinks is infecting our minds, a woke mind virus.
Oh my God. Being woke is basically a license to be. Like, I don't even want to finish the riff.
I'll tell you who I liked watching is that Tucker Carlson, only on X. Now,
where comedy is still legal. Thank you, Elon.
But I don't want to lose this because it is important for me to say.
Your first book was very helpful in
helpful
recovery.
for people. I've had a lot of people write me on social media and say like I was a teenager in rehab and somebody gave me your book and it touched me and it helped me get sober and it helped me stay sober, and that is so incredibly meaningful to me.
Of course.
The fact that anything I've ever, and I'm sure you do this too because you're kind of foray into discussing spirituality, like the idea that my comedy career had a byproduct of being emotionally or psychologically meaningful to anybody is like something I never saw coming, and also really meaningful to me because I care about people.
Is the comparison if my second book was kind of like I'm seeing the validity of atheism? Is it kind of like that?
Yes, and I had a real anxiety in writing this book because it's true. It's truth. It's my story is that AA defined my young life. I got sober when I was 15 years old. I was by far the youngest person in any AA meeting that I went to for the first 5 years of my recovery.
Yeah.
I'd go to young people's meetings, and they were called young people's meetings, and I would walk in, and I would still be 5-10 years younger than everybody there.
Wow.
I was the mascot. That was that, and it was this defining characteristic of who I was, and I took it on in such a deep way. By the time I was, 4 or 5 years sober, it was what you say. It was the primary identifier. I was so proud of how long I'd been sober and how young I was.
Yeah.
And these days, when I tell people how long I've been sober, it has a tinge of embarrassment. I feel embarrassed to tell people.
I know comics that, like, when I was starting, I was like, I've been doing it for 4 years. And they're like, I'm at the point where you don't like telling people how long you've been doing it.
It's exactly that. But it completely, I mean, what? What's the riff?
About racist Stephen Hawking. I just saw a new candidate for president who's very exciting to me. Keep going.
Who is it? Is it
the Kennedy one?
Oh, RFK. I thought it was going to be.
RFK is
It could have been a
very
fun riff if it was. What's the guy's name? The Indian guy?
I don't know.
Ramaswamy?
There's a guy named Ramaswamy running.
Am I
for
right?
president.
Oh, I really hope I'm right. Anyway,
Keep going. Not worth it. But I was just looking at you and remembering how funny you are.
thank you. But yeah, I went into the program so young. I'd been in rehab since I was 13. My mom was sending me to rehab from like about a year into my drug use. I started using drugs when I was like 12. And I'd been in and out of rehab and been forced to go to 12-step meetings. And by the time I like really discovered that I needed help, I was 15 and walked into that Monday night young people's meeting and said that. I said in front of a group of people, help me. I need help. I can't keep doing this. I don't know how to stop. I mean, my whole thing was that like my primary identifier as a young person was that my problem was not my problem. My problem was you. My problem was the adults surrounding me. My problem was the Oakland Police Department, Oakland
Right,
Public Schools, my
right.
mother, my therapist, my family therapist, my rehab counselor. Like, and then one day I had this like sort of realization that it didn't make sense that every other person in the world was my problem, and that maybe my problem was me.
The cliche.
Yeah, everything's a cliche.
No, but and all great stuff is cliche.
Yeah.
But like, if you hate everyone, the problem might be you.
They say in AA, actually, if nobody else measures up, it might be time to check your yardstick. Right?
Yeah.
And I had this realization, like a bolt of lightning, like I'm the problem, and it's actually my drinking and drug use that's the problem.
By the
So
way, that quote, I'm still, wow.
the yardstick?
Great quote.
Well, AA
'Cause
is...
I'm going around being like, you stink. Like way more than I want to.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, you're not like and the it's like you're not a genius. You know what I mean? Like, keep going.
Oh, well, anyway, I realized like all I have to do with that realization, it's so simple. It's such a simple process. Like I'm the problem, the drinking and the drugs are the problem. All I have to do is quit the drinking and the drugs. It's like so simple. And then
Which is kind of addict mind, right?
yeah,
very
maybe
black and white.
to think it's to think that the problem really is that simple.
Well, isn't it kind of like removing a tumor instead of changing lifestyle at all?
Well, the analogy that I've actually heard, which is actually in the book, and I think is a pretty powerful one, is that
Sorry, we have to go to the mid rolls. Modern mammals. Wait, what are some of his? Black Rifle Coffee's the only one that gets you alert enough.
ivermectin. It's been tested. It's been tried. The analogy
This is
I've
in the
heard.
book.
The analogy I've heard that's really good is that it's a lot like having a problem with your car. you're driving along, you hear a noise, and you think that the problem is the noise. You think that the problem is the noise, but you just sort of ignore the noise and you hope it'll get better, and then the noise becomes a grinding, and then the grinding becomes a clunk, and then it breaks.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my God, this is the problem. And you take it to the mechanic, and the mechanic, what they do is they diagnose the problem. And the problem is a busted transmission. The problem is whatever the problem is, but that doesn't get you any closer to solving the problem. All it does is give you the knowledge and the information necessary that you would need in order to solve the problem.
To like start fixing the problem. I thought you were going to say this, and it's clear you are saying this. I was waiting for the word symptom. It's like drinking obviously is the problem. Now we're going to talk abstractly. Drinking isn't the problem, it's the symptom.
But the symptom, what's interesting about it is that the symptom becomes so loud and so pronounced and so diseased and so destructive and so painful that you couldn't even possibly see the underlying issues.
Of course. But once you clean that up, then maybe you can, because how many sober people do I know, several, that like stop drinking but then start drinking 18 cans of Pepsi a day.
Oh, 100%.
Or cigarettes, or like what's the cliche of? And this is this is judgment free. It's like, let's drink coffee, and we're still gonna like, something's wrong. We're gonna fix it with some other state,
which makes total sense.
I completely agree.
And honestly,
a healthier addiction.
Yes, the difference between being an active drug addict and alcoholic and being somebody that's smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day is the difference between a person you can be around and a person you can't.
Yeah.
So I went into AA with that realization. I had this big realization of this is it. I know the solution. The solution is to stop. And the next day when I went to my drug dealer's house, I went to his house and I told him I'm done.
Oh yeah.
I'm done, buddy. Thank you.
Before you said that, it was pretty funny. It's like, so I left the meeting. I'm at my drug dealer's
No.
house.
That is where we're going. So I went to his house. I said, goodbye, buddy. I'm out. I'm out of the game. This is it. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And I left. And
Can
then
I say that's like going to the homepage of like UJizz or whatever and to tell it you're out of porn.
to write customer service.
I'm out of here. And you see all the thumbnails that incite every part of your brain that...
It is like
right?
that.
You're going to the candy shop to be like, fuck you, Wonka. And I don't mean Chalamet. That ain't my Wonka.
I prefer Chalamet and Rogan.
Rogan is in...
I don't know. You did a Rogan riff on The Lion King.
Oh, Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I went to Joe.
That's what I thought you were saying, too, when you first riffed it.
Yeah,
I thought Joe Rogan did The Lion
Seth
King?
Rogen has been dethroned as the Lion King.
Or as the primary Rogan, you're saying?
He's not the primary Rogan. I remember a very funny comic, Mike Holmes, when we started together. I was like, who's going to be the Holmes? Like, I'm not, this isn't
who
me
will be the
talking
primary
shit,
Holmes?
But I think we both were kind of like, you want to be Chappelle or you want to be...
Right. And it sucks that you both got dethroned by Sup.
Sup?
Yeah.
Sup, Holmes?
Sup, Holmes. I would say that's the primary.
You got me with like a Nunya business. Like you got me. Like you got me so hard. We both lost to Sup.
You both lost. You never had a chance.
We weren't even close.
My drug dealer.
Yep.
I went and I told him I was done. And then the next day when I went to his house to buy a bag, he looked at me and he goes, "What are you doing, man?" He goes, "You said yesterday you quit. Here you are again today. What's wrong with you? You've really got a problem." And as
the drug dealer said this.
When your drug dealer
was he fucking with you?
No, he was serious.
Wow.
And when your drug dealer does an intervention on you, this is the time to seek help. And that is what I did.
Truly funny. Wait, you didn't buy the bag?
I bought the bag and then I went to a meeting the next day.
You're going to do the bag.
Gotta buy the bag.
I relate so hard because of my issues with food to the one of my issues with food is like if you eat a piece of cake, it's like the seal is broken, which is the dumbest.
Oh, you've already started eating the cake. You might as well finish the cake.
But it's that black and white. It's like you're looking at the calendar,
Yeah.
and this day is now X'd.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, if it's already X'd, if I'm already going to go to the meeting tomorrow, I'm already like, oh, I realized it's a new rock bottom. It's a new low point. You might as well do the thing. And that is not really... I can see it both ways. It's not how reality works. The rabbinical teaching, if not now, when, right? Mm-hmm. It's now. Just do it now.
Well, one day at a time.
Exactly. One moment at a time. And then, I know it's one day at a time, but then
one moment at a time is AA wisdom. They say if you can't make it for one day, make it for 1 hour. If you can't make it for 1 hour, make it for 1 second.
Yeah.
It is part of the wisdom of AA.
Yeah, I love it.
And some of the most profound wisdom in AA.
to talk out the other side of my face, there is something interesting about just the way life is set up. Sun coming up, sun going down, us being up, us going to sleep. And I really, sometimes that can hurt me, meaning, well, this day is fucked. I ate cake. I might as well eat a whole pizza as well. It can also help me. I think this is the phenomenon of New Year's. We love like, it's New Year's Day. Why does that work? It's like, it does though. There's like a collective feeling in the air. I can just tell more people.
Well, it's exactly what you're saying about applying meaning where there is none. Or maybe there is some and we've discovered it. I don't know. But I will say that like the rhythm of my life has become, you know, I'm not a particularly religious Jew, but I love Yom Kippur. And I have this strange connection.
Is that the dish with the little Crispies?
Wait, I can't even figure out what.
Yom Kippur is like they put the little.
That's Yom Kippur.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's brought to you by Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Yom Kippur exist?
We should create.
Kate, who's renting this house, does like care packages of wonderful challah and matzo ball and all these. Yom Kippur.
She should do a break the fast on Yom Kippur.
Boom. Why do you love Yom Kippur?
Well, because it is an annual assessment of the things that have gone wrong. Like the idea, I told you about, may his name be blotted out of the book of life. That is the idea, that on that day, God is in heaven, almost literally with a quill going, Pete will make it because he has atoned. Moshe will not make it because... I obviously don't believe in that. But I do believe in
but
this.
It's helpful as a symbol.
I don't even know if I believe in any of it, but I do love the idea of an annual. I'm cleansed. I'm done, and it's weirdly connected to Burning Man for me because of the way that. Oh, sorry, I spoiled one of the tiles.
Oh, would I have gotten it? I think I would have. That's clearly a wooden man.
So every year on Labor Day, I've been to Burning Man now. This was my 22nd year in a row. I went for the first time in 1996. I used to work there for 15 years. I worked up there and well into my comedy career where my agents and my other comedian friends were like, why the fuck are you taking a month off a year to go be like a psychedelic security guard up at Burning Man?
Yeah.
Like I was in...
And a sober burner.
As a sober person, never having gotten high there. But every year on Labor Day, they set the man on fire. And if it has any actual meaning to me, it's that for me, this is going to sound so corny, but it really does have meaning to me. Like it is the beginning of my high holiday period. I watch the man get set on fire. What that means to me, and it means whatever it means to however many people that are looking at it. What it means to me is like life is temporary. We are temporal. We are all a man about to catch fire.
By the way, who Terence McKenna summarized every psychedelic. It doesn't matter how strong it is. The message is the same. It goes. Nothing lasts forever.
Right.
That's the whole thing summarizes. And we are in denial of that constantly. I think it's so funny that we're ice sculptures, basically.
Yeah.
We're going around melting. I've never talked about this, but sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I'm like, oh, I could do a short film where everybody has like something like a dog collar, like a metal, like, almost like Saw.
Yeah.
And there's a spinning saw blade coming at you, and it moves ever so slowly. The reason I don't do it is it's too dark and it's also too obvious. But if you saw someone going like buying a Ferrari and they have a saw blade and they're test driving and they're like, woohoo! I'm like, that is the cosmic joke. It's like, and also Ferrari can be fun. I see it both ways.
My friend Jacob describes life as just being on
Yaakov?
as life as being on an airport sidewalk, moving sidewalk. And the end of it is just the abyss. And we have that much time.
Yeah.
And so when I see the man at Burning Man get set on fire, to me, that's what it symbolizes. What Terence McKenna said, what you said, the saw blade is in front of you. We are all a man about to catch fire. And so what matters is, like, what are we doing in the meantime? And so I begin the process of looking at my year past, how I want to live better, how I want to change.
It's a prompt. It
is a prompt.
And you need a big-ass ritualistic group celebration prompt.
Right.
And we're running out of prompts. I completely get it.
And America said when we got here, get rid of your prompts, leave them at Ellis Island. We're not doing prompts anymore.
Yeah, we don't do prompts.
And that is, in some ways, like another theme of this book, which is the lack
stop mentioning
I can't. The lack of ritual. I can. The lack of ritual in this.
I'm 100% JK. Subculture Vulture available now?
Yes, available now for your reading pleasure. Depending on when this book comes out, available right now.
This episode.
What did I say?
Book.
Yeah, I can't stop mentioning the book. But but it's about what subculture represents for us.
Yeah.
Is in a world where you don't go to the town parade where they have the weird costumes that have been around since the Roman Empire and kill the bull and go to the bullfighting match, and we don't have that.
Yeah.
And so what we did in our era was we would find the universes that seduced us, right? For you, it was the church for a while, then it was comedy for a while, and then it was now it's psychedelics, and you've moved past that. It's like it's this sort of chance pinball slap of like, what is life? And you look back only in hindsight, in rear view vision, do you see, oh, I see the pattern. Like, oh, I was supposed to start in Bible camp, but then I was supposed to have my marriage dissolved, which was going to ping me into comedy, which was going to ping me into success, which was going to push me into this psychedelic world, which was going to make me meet Val, which was going to put, it's like this whole, you can't see it when you're moving, but you can see it when you look back.
Yeah.
And part of, I think, the lament, my lament is that, and I know
My
how
lament? So your book is, another title would be My Lament?
My struggle.
Your struggle,
even.
really? So just the real subtitle is My Struggle.
Subculture Vulture, Mein Kampf. When it gets translated, it's going to be such a success, it's going to get translated into Germany.
In America, people think you wrote Catcher in the Rye. In Germany, they're pretty sure that guy wrote Mein Kampf.
Did you know that the American author J.D. Salinger is same guy Adolf Hitler? Same guy. Who are the phonies? They are the Jews.
Who are the phonies? Oh my God, the phonies!
We are not the phonies. We are the people, the Volk. But my lament. You're so funny, Pete. It's hard to stay in the sincere.
No, stay in it. Stay in it.
But my lament that I really is that, and I'm self-conscious about this being like an old man shakes his fist at clouds type of memoir. But there is something about the pre-internet era that we were raised in, which was that your path, your hindsight path, it happened to you. Yeah. And it was chance. It was like the reason that I fell into drug addiction is because I had this incredibly painful childhood. And not a lot of people have incredibly painful childhoods, but then I found the kids at the back of the portable in Oakland Public Schools, and they happened to say, "Come here," And I happened to go shoplift a pack of Camel Wides, and my friend happened to he wasn't my friend at the time, happened to see me smoking one. And he happened to say, "You seem cool, so come this way. Come smoke cigarettes with us at the back of the school." And we happened to get high, and it happened to be the balm that I needed to finally feel okay.
Right.
And that happened to be such an intoxicating balm, literally intoxicating, but also figuratively, that I lost control of it. And I happened to have this realization that happened to put me into an AA meeting where I raised my hand and asked for help. And I happened to get bored enough in sobriety that it led me to the rave scene, which happened to lead me to Burning Man, which happened to lead me to like who I am as a person. And I happened to be born into this Hasidic world, this Jewish world that was only a part of my life 6 weeks a year. And I happened to go to Israel on a semester abroad one year, and that semester happened to get cut short because of the situation there, which is more tragic than ever. And I happened to go to New York City because I didn't have anywhere to go that semester. And I happened to run into Chelsea, who I happened to go to Oakland Public Schools with, and she happened to say, "I'm doing stand-up now." And I happened to follow her to an open mic rather than going to a rave that night. I happened to go, "Wow, I could try that too." And I happened to do an open mic, and it became my life. And then I happened to meet my Natasha, and we happened to fall in love with each other and have a child and give me this life.
And you're looking at the manifestation. Your daughter, do you say your daughter's name publicly?
We don't, but
Oh, that's right. I'm remembering that you don't.
Yeah.
Your daughter's life is like the material representation. When you're saying that, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's like Plinko.
Exactly,
You're
Plinko.
Plinkoing
Plinko
down.
or pinball is the reference that I always think of.
Yeah.
And and I always say, speaking of atheism, if you are a believer in God or spirit or destiny, it's breathtaking. And if you are a materialist and you truly are an atheist and you believe in nothing and randomness, it's equally breathtaking.
Oh.
If randomness created You're a child.
Yeah.
If randomness created your life, this beautiful life that you've got, Pete, this beautiful life that
That's
I've
right
got.
up my alley. You're kind of, you can call it God or you can call it randomness. And I'm like, at the end of the day, your experience of maybe not a reverence, but an observation of, you could call it chaos,
Yeah.
absolute nothingness, absolutely meaninglessness. And look at what it's doing. It's so strange and so wild and so miraculous, or whatever the word would be.
Yeah, and I guess the asterisk always is, well, I look back on my Plinko and my life is tragic. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to say that always destiny gives you this beautiful end result. I'm just, but all the pain that I walked through, all the pain that I experienced, it all is
Grace?
grist for the mill.
Grist for the mill.
As my boy.
Well,
my
he'd
boy
also
said.
say suffering is grace too. My example is very similar to yours, but it's it's a divorce, and I was like, I didn't want this. I think it's on the wall. I think it's Paula d'Arcy, but it's first comes the fall, then comes the recovery from the fall. Both are the grace of God.
Yeah.
Which I know is religious sounding, and because it is, but it's that kind of hindsight. But it's not even just because it turned out materially successful and now you have a book and now you have whatever. It's just what's happening. It's just all what's happening.
Well, it is. And in hindsight, you can only see that it happened. And you can only see the pattern, and you can choose to make meaning. It's just what we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
You make meaning where there is none, or maybe where there is something that you discover.
Right.
But there's no way to see the meaning until you've done the thing. I mean, it's like that Chinese proverb. You know that Chinese proverb about maybe?
Yeah, I love
that
maybe.
class.
I tell maybe all the time.
I'm sure you've. It would be.
I'm about it.
It wouldn't be much of a you made it weird if you'd never
Without-
maybe'd.
Yeah, you got to maybe.
You gotta
I
maybe.
maybe'd recently because I forget what it was. Well, without retelling the proverb, you can look it up. The maybe or the perhaps proverb.
There was a man of questionable descent in a country filled with communists.
Steven?
Yes.
It doesn't say of questionable descent. It's just a man.
Listen, I'm just doing my own interpretations. I'm one of the great minds of the 20th century. You
Okay,
think I don't understand a fucking proverb? Do you don't think it chaps my hide that this proverb with great wisdom comes from the same place where they're bootlegging DVDs of my own book? What the fuck, bro?
Racist Steven, I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be back,
with
brother.
I disagree with you.
Glad to be back, brother.
The incriminating brother.
No, we're not brothers. No.
No. I've been tripping out lately. I've been thinking about Plinko a lot lately because, this is just going to sound however it's going to sound. It's okay. But I am changing your life right now. I'm changing Katie's life. You're changing my life. And I know that sounds like, oh, lava lamp, let's smoke a joint. But obviously, it's the most obvious thing in the world that you came here. So geographically, you've been changed. But the ideas that we share will inform your behavior. The way that you drive on the highway is changing the entire world.
Yeah.
If you look at the ripples, either you're being kind or you're being unkind, the ripples of that. We all have been cut off, and you think about that guy, and then maybe you're a little short with your partner, or maybe you're frustrated, and then you drink, and then you you could even look at it more superficially and be like, because you came here, let's say we canceled the podcast, and you fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he would have been, you know what I'm saying? That's the extreme. But it's not paranoia. You could also say because you did the podcast, you didn't fall off the cliff. It's both.
Yeah.
But thought experiments like that or looking at it that way really brings up the urgency of every ordinary activity, that a smile to a stranger could stop an untold horror or could create one. You have to look at it both ways. You could be like, and now they think I'm a phony and that makes them angry. So you can't control it. That's paranoia. Paranoia is, well, I am changing the world with everything I'm doing and saying, so I'm going to stay in my house. Well, you staying in your house is also the choice.
Right.
Now you're not at the ice cream shop and you don't smile at the pregnant woman.
Who could have saved her life, and she
Yeah.
didn't go off the cliff.
Right,
completely.
exactly. But it's paranoia until you realize it's so... like reality is so...
Yeah.
that your only choice is to surrender.
and keep walking.
and keep going on the thing.
Because you're on the conveyor belt whether you're moving or not.
Right.
Because it's moving underneath you.
Well, the guy in the house with the
the
saw
saw's
blade
coming.
is still there. But then when we talk about God looking out for us, that's not my belief. I've had wonderful fortune and I can enjoy the sort of non-literal, meaning I don't think it's the absolute truth of the absolute mystery. I practice gratitude. I get emotional thinking about what if I didn't meet Val sliding door style. And I'm not even saying stop doing that. Thank you for this parking spot or whatever it is. I'm not saying that's stupid or a waste of time, but I'm saying like all of it, when we're talking about grist for the mill, the bad, the good, right now, we are in eternity. We've applied the illusion of time to it, the concept. It's a useful concept, but it's not, we're in this, and we're always and forever in this moment. So the only game that I see that's consistent is how much you remember yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have Ferraris or a mansion or even the wife and the child. It's like, and that's a real koan. It's like, who's luckier, who's better off? The guy, Job, who finds God through all the suffering, or the guy, what breaks my heart more is when I go to some multi-billionaire's house and I see nothing getting through. And I'm like, it's just the ice cream enema every day. And it's just a different way to jizz every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is that? Where is that right now? Even when you're talking, only because I feel like you'll enjoy this and then I'm going to give it to you. It's like, you don't have a life. Moshe, when you say my life, I don't even know what you're talking about. Sadhguru was talking about this. Some people say my life, they mean their children. Some people mean their money.
Yeah.
Some people mean their career. Some people mean their bodies, whatever it is. But it's just a concept.
Well,
but you are life.
Well, you know,
Because it's right now.
yeah,
But drop the life.
on that tip, one of the most profound things I realized or I heard in the pandemic, and
pandemic.
you know that I don't believe much
During.
in that bullshit, but
During the pandemic.
it's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This rabbi I saw some video just came into my algorithm and it really affected me. It's what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's like, here's the positive of what just is what is happening. We all think of ourselves and our lives as the work we do, the people we see, the activities we engage in,
What we achieve.
yeah, and then something like this comes and it all shuts down and there's nothing, and yet we're still alive. We're still us. We still are in the world. We still have a life.
It wasn't essential to you, and it was taken away.
And
you
you're
thought
still
your life
you.
was and you're still there. That's why Garden of Eden, they're naked. They're not naked. They don't have ding dongs and boobies. It's talking about you've yet to apply the story
Right,
of your
right.
clothes and your job and your thing. And the pandemic did take that away. And there were a lot of us, tragedy noted. I'm not trying to be funny. All the
Right.
loss. But there were quiet moments washing a dish going like, I am as much I am as I was when I
Yes.
was
on
doing
my
all
way
the
to some
things.
hot meeting and some big acting job. I still am here. I still am.
Rupert Spira would say all of our striving, and as a special guy trying to be special,
Yeah.
he would say you're trying to impose the qualities of your essence, which is eternal, expansive, perfect, infinite, gorgeous light. You're trying to push that into your story. And it makes perfect sense. He's not saying stop it, but we're trying to aggrandize ourselves
Right.
to the qualities that our consciousness has.
And yeah, and like I'm when I was listening to you talk, I had this feeling of like, what the fuck are you saying? I don't know.
I was gonna
what the
interrupt with
fuck
that
are you talking
similar
about?
riff.
No, it is, and I don't even know if what I'm about to say I believe, but it's like what I don't want to be, what I consider to be a tragedy, and I'm thinking of this in real time, so I hope it makes sense. It's like what you're talking about. I don't want to be a victim of just being pushed down the conveyor belt without even noticing the process the whole
Yeah.
time. Many people, and me definitely at points in my life, certainly when I was young and trying to get sober, are unaware that they're even on the conveyor belt. They're just letting trauma and pain and misery push them down the line. And just like you said,
unconscious.
unconscious. I want to be able to, at some point on the journey, look down at the flame throwing chair that's pushing me towards the abyss and go, "Oh my God, I'm on a ride," and have some agency. I want to, at certain points in my
want to have
life,
some liberation.
I want to be a pilot, not a passenger.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption, weirdos. This episode is brought to us by our friends at Next Evo Naturals. You guys know the new year is the perfect time to move on from things that just aren't working in your life. And with Next Evo Naturals CBD products, oil-based CBD can be one of those things that isn't working for you. Oil-based CBD doesn't mix well with our water-based bodies, so you absorb as little as 6% of the CBD that is on the label. But Next Evo Naturals, you know I love CBD, but this is a company that really elevated it because they developed a clinically tested water-soluble form of CBD. Water-soluble, which means their gummies and capsules are proven to work faster and absorb 4 times better than oil-based products. So you need to go to nextevo.com and use promo code WEIRD for 25% off any order or up to 60% off as a new subscriber. I love their stress gummies. It's mixing adaptogens and CBD that you can feel and feel quickly so you can get that dose just right. The ashwagandha in there lowers your stress. The CBD rounds it out and gives you a wonderful feeling of well-being. Try their strongest gummy ever is new, the new Extra Strength Daily Wellness CBD gummies, which the customers love. Or for the all-time bestsellers, try my beloved Stress or their Sleep CBD complex products. Find new ways to use CBD with a variety of convenient options, including gummies, capsules, and dissolvable powders, which I've been known to put in my smoothies because I love it. Like I said, it gets into you 4 times better, and you start feeling that absorption in about 10 minutes. So leave oil behind and start the year off with more effective and fast-acting CBD from Next Evo Naturals. Get 25% off any order or up to 60% off as a new subscriber by using code WEIRD at nextevo.com. That's 25% off your order or up to 60% off a new subscription at nextevo.com with promo code WEIRD. We're also brought to us by our friends at Ritual, the multivitamin and the probiotic that I take every single day. If supporting foundational health was a sport, you would want Ritual on your team. They made Essential for Men, a multivitamin that's based solely on science and designed to help fill common nutrient gaps in the diet with 10 key nutrients. I can speak anecdotally for me. I would get my blood work done at my physical every year. I had gaps. I took Ritual. It filled those gaps. According to the CDC, fewer men than women meet the minimum daily intake recommendations for fruits and vegetables, and men are more likely to overvalue exercise and undervalue nutrition. Well, stop it. Enter Ritual, a multivitamin specifically, scientifically developed to help men fill those nutrient gaps in their diet. 10 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules, which is key because I take it when I'm fasting and it doesn't upset my stomach. It even has a minty essence in every bottle that makes taking your multis actually enjoyable. It's rigorously tested and validated, non-GMO, vegan, gluten and major allergen free, certified B Corp, and made traceable so you know where these nutrients are coming from. They are the industry-leading sustainability standards. They're meeting the industry-leading sustainable standards. It's a wonderful company, and it is something that has absolutely helped my life. Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust. Get 40% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/weird. This offer is only available through January 31st. Start Ritual or add Essential for Men to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/weird for 40% off. All right, everybody, back to Moshe. It's interesting, even the idea of being pushed down a conveyor belt is a story told in time.
Of course, right.
And that, see, we haven't talked about this, but you and I mean, but like I had this very profound experience where we were actually at a Rupert Spira event and we were eating lunch and I ate something and it just lodged here and I thought I was going to choke. And I was in that moment graced, something I didn't want, with the sort of inconvenient revelation that it's all just now, and when you're dying, when you think you're dying, that's all that's happening. Meaning, we think of our deaths as like third person, like on TV, like in a movie, but when it's happening, it's just happening. So there was like it's already overness to it.
in the choking moment, you felt grace
after
you considered
so I was so
it.
scared, and I was just sort of like,
Right.
and I was like, oh, we have to go. Either thoughts like this are comforting or they're not, but it's like your birth and your death happen in the same eternal now, and they're happening kind of simultaneously, and we're given this provisional thing. But here we are, like we can experience and talk about this right now. Where is when we met? Where is when they wrote Moshe Kasher was your name at the festival?
Right.
It's all gone. It's just this. And the just thisness can be very frightening to a species that's fascinated with taking pictures and proving the past, remembering the past. In fact, your trauma can even be a crutch to be like, I'm real, I'm real, I'm real. And Ram Dass would say that too. He's like, I've been milking my bad childhood for 40 years.
Right.
Because the true nightmare, and I'm going to put this to you too, when you have, so apart from meditation, psychedelics, contemplation, whatever it might be, spiritual things, breath work, they can put you into that now where you're like, holy fuck, it's only ever been here and now. I've never been anywhere but here and now. It doesn't matter if I go to Spain, I'm here. I go to outer space, I'm here. It's only one place, it's only one time, and you feel the peace of that. I lost my train of thought. I started thinking about Mars.
You went to, well, it's funny you say Mars because all this stuff that you're talking about with time.
Sex.
What, sex?
Will you remember what you're about to say?
Maybe.
Well, you're the guest. I'll remember what I'm going to say.
Well, this concept that time began when existence began. This is not a New Age concept.
Yeah.
This is a scientific materialist concept that at the Big Bang or whatever it was that started at the beginning of the universe, the question what happened before the Big Bang is according to theoretical physics, and not according to me, I'm not an expert on theoretical physics, but I interviewed on an old podcast that you did a few times, How Tall, Sean Carroll, who is like a really you should definitely have him on your show.
Really?
He's amazing.
Right.
But he explained that time and space is the same thing. You know, we say time, space. It's the same. Like if you point up or out or whatever, space, time, they are not different things. The rate of expansion of the universe and the concept of time, it is literally in physics the same concept. So existence and time, it is I think you're right, an illusion, but it is also
It's a concept.
Yeah, it's a concept.
And illusions have relative reality.
Right.
They're real, but they're not what they seem to be.
Yes, exactly. Right. So even Mars actually does make sense because Mars is a part of the thing. And like what you're saying, what's the different? Like I have a hard time not believing in time. I'm not really. It's just too out there for me to go like, you know, oh yeah, the moment that I was born and the moment that I died, those are the same moment, really. But you can do a thing, even for a person that's like has a hard time with new agey kind of ideas like that. You can do a thing where you raise up on the timeline and you look, you know, the difference between 80 years, 120 years, how long I'm going to live. If you go up far enough, you go up to Mars and beyond and look back down at the timeline and you go, that's essentially the same moment. Like it's all kind of, there is no real space between my birth, like, and I'm talking materially. Yeah. There's almost no difference between a second and 80 years and 120 years on the timeline of a universe.
Well, okay, so I feel like you trying to summarize Sean Carroll, so I'll try to summarize Rupert Spira. So he says it's very interesting that we think consciousness is a phenomenon that developed in a material body in order to experience something that was already happening, which was time and space. But he's like, the whole spiritual thing is kind of flipping that, saying consciousness is, and it creates things like the illusion of space, which is also an illusion, meaning it's not what it seems to be. It does. I understand that you're over here and I'm over here, and time. But it's just it's a reversal, saying instead of thinking of consciousness as something that appeared in something that was already happening, it's like no, consciousness was always just putting stuff into itself. And then sort of, again, this can seem so obvious to me at times. I'm like, look at where we are in outer space, endless expansion, infinity. And that's us.
Yeah.
So it would make something that could hold it, you know, and reflect it. I feel like this is why it's so peaceful to look at the ocean. You're like, that's me, the waves of my feelings and the eternalness. And this isn't as esoteric as it sounds. You close your eyes and you're like, where's the boundary?
Right.
Where does it end?
But and by the way, it's not even it isn't esoteric literally at all. When you think of
it's
the
the
fact,
least hidden thing in the world.
but it's also literally true. It's when you look at the ocean and you say that's me, it is you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Right.
in this weird way. And we're back to
completely
materialism. You know, Earth, when it was first created, if you believe this stuff, if you don't believe that it was created in 7 days, but even if you do believe it was created in 7 days, Earth was a lifeless rock. It was tohu vavohu. It was chaos. It was darkness and void.
Yeah.
And then it became.
Ex nihilo?
I don't know what
That's
that is.
Latin.
Oh, Latin. I
Out of
only know
nothing.
tohu. I'm a tohu vavohu boy. I'm a
it.
Yom Kippur guy.
And then Shekinah began.
Shekinah.
Shekinah.
Yeah.
Shekinah.
Yeah.
Shekinah. Pizzeria Shekinah. You want some Yom Kippur? Come over to Pizzeria Shekinah.
So the ocean is you. I mean, it is you.
Well, the
you're
ocean is-
literally made of the ocean, and the ocean is made of you.
Well, this is also okay. So that's material, and also, I hear what you're saying. You're coming at it from a scientific.
I'm saying
place.
it can be both.
No, it is both. I'm completely in agreement with you. Rupert would say the only thing to seeing
I keep
the
thinking you're going to say Murdoch. Every time you
Murdoch.
say the word Rupert, I'm
Well,
you're an acolyte of Rupert Murdoch?
I don't even know.
You know who is an acolyte of Rupert Murdoch.
I don't know who that is.
Rupert Murdoch, he's the
Sex
owner
Island?
of Fox News.
Oh, so probably Sex Island.
Yeah, he must have gone. He must.
That has been largely misunderstood. Just because you're on a private jet doesn't mean you're partaking of the delicacies of an island. Sometimes you just want to go to an island and sightsee.
Like Moshe going to Burning Man. Does not mean he's doing ketamine. Some of us just like the smell of sex.
Yeah.
I just like the cool. You don't think you're the only one that likes to look at the ocean and think that's me. I do that too. While Bill Clinton is having a menage a eight with 14-year-olds, I'm just chilling out, shooting some hoops.
I'm just seeing the ball rolling down. That is not okay.
Where is Steven? He's on the basketball court again. The guy loves hoops. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Okay. The only thing, so Rupert's model, which I subscribe to or whatever, I enjoy, let's say.
Rupert's model was of age on the island.
Say what?
Rupert's model was of age on the island.
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch's model. She was totally
Okay.
She was 18.
Thank you, non-race. This is now just Moshe
She's
saying
me.
this.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research into the Epstein list, and Rupert was actually cool.
Oh my God, the Epstein list. I don't even like hearing that.
How did we go from time and space is the same thing as infinite reality, and the illusion of life is only as you perceive it to the Epstein list.
Oh God. Okay, so the ocean. What is it? We think one way is saying is the ocean exists and consciousness is perceiving something that exists. It exists. The other model is saying only consciousness exists. And when we look at that, we go, what is the ocean? What is the experience of ocean? Well, it's seeing, and the only thing to seeing, this is Rupert's power, is knowing. It's the part of you that knows I'm seeing the ocean. It's knowing. Smelling the salt. Smell is knowing. Touching the water. Touching is knowing. So it all happens inside of you. So that's kind of like a fun thing. The other thing is, and I've done this a million, so I'll do it real quick, but like distance, time is sometimes an easy one, but distance being an illusion, meaning I think this is the coolest thing in the world. The feeling of this couch, which is out there, is experienced in the same place that I hear my thoughts. It's the same spacious field, and that's what we're talking about, awareness. Awareness is like an empty room, and right now there's all these little dots bing, 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 popping up that I call a feeling, but it happens in the same place that the sound of a distant seagull also happens, not just close to me, inside of me. Isn't that wild?
I kind of don't understand.
Well, I'm adding the story that seagull is over there because that's a very useful model.
Yeah.
I need that if I'm hunting seagull.
Yeah.
I'm not saying drop it. I'm saying, but the experience of something far away, that tree or you or me or a feeling or a thought all happen. Saying close to me is not even close. It is me.
You know, it's funny. Hold
on, I'm going to snort some ketamine.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
It keeps coming back to this linkage between
LinkedIn?
but my LinkedIn, which if you go to my LinkedIn, I've been working as a guy at Best Buy for better part
since
of
2008.
Since 2008,
Wow.
and the Geek Squad, honestly,
Was your idea?
that was me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wrote the Fibonacci sequence,
Can I
Mein
say
Kampf,
that
Catcher
Geek
in the Rye,
Squad-
and I created the Geek Squad.
There's no idea more than Geek Squad that I'm going to say millions of people were like, I had that idea. Like a group of nerds that come and help your mom with her VCR. It was right there.
What was I saying?
I have the other thing I was going to say, but
Time and space.
Time and space,
Oh,
the ocean.
you're saying distance, time and space at the beginning of the universe, if you are a materialist, or even if you're not, is that the universe was...
a single point.
It was smaller than the smallest small. I mean, it was
Right.
the densest thing. It was the if you held it in your hand, you would have just sunk to whatever, the bottom of nothing forever.
Right.
But we were touching. You were touching the ocean and Mars.
The
and
non-dual understanding of everything being one thing is backed by the idea
it's
of
materially.
science.
It's also materially true. Within the single point of the Big Bang contained all of the
contained
energy.
your heartbreak, your body when you were in junior high, wishing you went to the dance.
Yes.
And everyone at that dance.
And my daughter.
And your daughter.
And Natasha. And comedy.
Yeah.
And
It was
the
all
trip
there.
to New York. And Chelsea. And open
Right,
mics. And
right,
blah, blah, blah. All the
right,
way back until
right.
the first absolute pinpoint of reality.
Right.
And so we get to time. That was the first concept that was introduced to me in AA.
Yes.
Was that idea of one day at a time. That was that incredibly, laughably simplistic axiom, one day at a time, which almost feels insulting.
But it's not. One day at a time is stop looking at something that doesn't exist called Moshe or Moshe's life and just be in the moment.
100%.
Because when you drop, I was my friend Noah Hoffeld wrote this great piece about being with Ram Dass, and he was talking about his trauma, and they did these exercises that really, for lack of a better, just to say it quickly, brought them just into the naked
Yeah.
now. And then Ram Dass, not to be cute or dismissive, he was like, "Where's your trauma?" He was like, we drag so many things with us, like Santa's sack of toys, the giantest sack, and we're dragging it around. And this is psychedelics and otherwise. You just go like, what are we doing? You know what is good otherwise is people who are dying. They're like, why am I not talking to my whatever? And I understand there's times to cut people out of your life. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like in that clarity of like the naked potential of infinite moment, this moment, you kind of go like, I actually did ketamine and that was a big thing. I was like, the past doesn't exist.
That's funny you say that.
What are we doing? We're dragging it. I go to meet you for lunch. And you're my beloved friend. I have to do work to go. It's in A Course in Miracles. It's like no one sees anything. All they see is the past. Mm-hmm. All they see is the past. And it robs the moment of its infinite potential to surprise you.
Yeah. Well, I describe it as this trauma, as this, when you have a trauma occur, and this is also Plinko. This is the bad Plinko. This is dark Plinko.
The price is wrong, bitch.
It is, yes, the price is wrong, bitch. What happens to all of us? I have started to think this. I know this in AA, and I have started to think this about everyone. I know it's true with addicts. I know that but I kind of think it's true with everybody, is you have a trauma that occurs. I mean, even you, Pete, who've done extensive work on self-improvement, even you, even me, even Ram Dass.
Yeah.
You have a trauma, and what you do is your little, elves inside of your soul walk over, and they, with some mortar and some bricks, and they wall off the trauma. And you say, we won't go there anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go around there, which is fine if you have a few traumas. But if you have too many traumas, too many things, you start to build these walls where what was a path is now a labyrinth. What was a walk is now a Plinko.
It used to be
ball.
a rotary. You just go around it, but now you get lost in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're lost in the maze of your own life, and you're being fueled by this trauma. You don't even understand. This is what I was saying. I was saying about, I lost a friend this week to addiction.
I'm so sorry.
And it's really this week has been really hard in that particular way, and I've been thinking about this a lot. Like when you meet an addict or an alcoholic, you look from the outside, and I think this isn't just true with addiction. This is true with like sort of everybody that you know that is fueled by their own trauma. You look at them and you go, why don't, it's so fucking obvious what you need to do. Like it's so simple. Stop doing this behavior, stop feeling sorry for yourself, do this, do that, get a job, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious. And you're not wrong. You're actually correct. It is obvious and it is clear to you.
Yeah.
Because you're standing from the outside looking down at the labyrinth and going, just fucking take a right, and then you're at the center of the maze.
Yeah, you're on the bird's eye view.
And for them, it's impossible. They can't even see the maze because they're stuck in between the hedges that they've built.
That was On the Crown. Remember, I haven't seen all of it, and it's not a spoiler, but Di and her boyfriend, what's his name?
I'm not gonna.
Dodie.
Dodie.
So Di and Dodie are in the hotel room, and they're saying like, your own problems are so obvious to other people.
Right.
And Val and I talk about this all the time because she'll say, like with my folks, why are you doing the same thing and expecting a different result? And at least in that regard, I would call myself consciously unconscious, meaning I'm still unconscious, but at least I'm on this treadmill. But the real goal is to be consciously conscious.
And so when you have that labyrinth that you've built, AA, psychedelics, spiritual work.
Is that what you're going to say? Ketamine? Did that make you think of something?
Well, I was going to say that it is interesting that there are a lot of studies that have been done about people that are dying.
Yeah.
They are literally physically dying, and they're given psilocybin mushroom
Ease of
doses, and they have this realization on the other end of unease and a comfort. I mean, I'm sure there's still
of unease.
Some ease.
Yeah, but it sounded like you said unease.
No, and ease. Yes, correct.
And ease.
They come out the other end with more comfort about their death.
This goes back to my point: is the only game in town is not even an understanding. It's not like an intellectual, like I understand philosophically what's going on. It's a recognition of what's happening.
Right.
The eternal nature of yourself, of reality, the illusory nature, the passing nature. That's why I'm saying all psychedelics are just whispering. Don't look for it here. Don't look for it here. Don't try to even win it. Don't get me wrong. I'm loving this conversation.
Right.
I'll be in a good mood. It will fade. I did these shows in Tempe Friday night, 2 of the best shows of my career.
Yeah.
And afterwards, my face was tingling. And Matt, my wonderful opener, he was buzzing. And I like enjoyment. And I go, start the stopwatch. Like when it doesn't even make it back to the hotel with you.
Right.
It did. It lasted till the next day. I was still in a great mood. But like
Saturday early, you bombed pretty hard, I heard.
Well, it's funny.
Matt called me and told me.
It's funny. Saturday early was more what I would call normal shows.
Right.
It was actually Sunday early because it was Saturday, Sunday weekend. And then you go like, it's not in objective reality. What you're looking for isn't there. So these people take mushrooms. I can't presume. I can just say what's happened to me on mushrooms. And mushrooms say, this is all ending, but let me show you what doesn't end. Let me show you. And guess what? Good news, bad news. This is all sort of nonsense. This is written on running water. Yeah, or it's steam, whatever you want to say. But good news, that's not who you really are. That's the whole message.
Right. And I think that there's a corollary in that kind of trauma work too. It's like those walls that you built, they aren't actually you. They're not even your, I mean, I guess they're a part of you, but they're not your trauma even.
But they're not essential to you.
Right.
To say your point, like your rabbi, not your rabbi, but the rabbi's point about the pandemic, spirituality is about what can't be taken away.
Yeah.
And what, you could even just look at that scientifically and say that would be the most interesting thing or the most important thing. I can take away your identity. I can take away your career, all the things. I don't even want to say them because it's like, but it could, and you'd still be there. So what is that?
Well, it reminds me
your memory could go away and you'd still be there.
Actually, it's funny you say about memory. I was at New Year's. There was like a world-renowned happiness expert at the party I was at. She's like a professor of happiness. She's a psychology professor.
That's got to be a rough gig.
Well,
because you're just having a bad mood, like you have a shit that you can't quite get out, and you had the wrong meal on the airplane.
You just can't be in a bad mood.
And now you have to go up and be like,
No, I'm not even kidding. We did a toast at the beginning of the meal, and we're like, to 2024 being a better year for all of us. And I'm not even kidding. She goes, yeah, but we're probably going to be run by a dictatorship next year. I was like, you doing that? How, Sway? I mean, it was like, well, you can't do that. You're the happiness. But anyway, what she said to me is that I said, what's the most happy? What do you think the most happy animal is? I say a dog, because
Dolphin.
Okay, I'm gonna say no on dolphin.
I've never seen a dog prancing in the waves with 12 friends.
Well, yes, those are nice moments, but
You saw the Cove.
But dolphins have to find fish. They got to find that herring.
But they have a group in the secret language.
No, they definitely seem
and
like
they team up with other
wi-
mammals.
within the group. I would say of all animals,
I'm going to go with you now because I see what you're saying. Dogs have a great system. I
Yeah.
sometimes look at this my own dog and I'm like, who were you before that you get to be not just a dog, but like a well-off dog?
I mean, imagine, yes. Like, who's the person you worship, like Ram Dass or Rupert?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying you worship him, or Val, or whoever you love just the most.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this is like the king. Imagine you're just every day, Ram Dass comes over, he kisses you on the forehead, he gives you a delicious meal, he plays with you for a while, he's like, I love you, man, I love you, and cuddles with you, and then he's like, I'm actually feeding you as well. All your material needs are met by me.
Get up on my couch.
And come on up on Ram Dass's
Yes.
couch. Come on, we're gonna play. And you don't. And by the way,
And I have an understanding that he's special.
oh yeah, and also you don't ever think you're not smart enough to think, does Ram Dass really like me? I'm gonna
not.
die someday, aren't I? You're just
Yeah.
in the eternal bliss of just like getting.
Well, this is Eckhart Tolle. He says the animal kingdom is a great key to us because have you ever watched an animal die? Like I watched my cat dying, and
Yeah.
they're not panicking in
Right.
the way that we do.
Right.
They're like, yeah, leaves fall from trees, they decompose, and they become trees. Like this. Why wouldn't this happen? But they're not even thinking. They're not thinking any of that, of course.
I know.
But they're just like, oh, my heart's stopping.
But it seems like things are slowing down a bit.
But they don't go. Meow, 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 meow. They're not doing that.
But the problem with the animal kingdom is 90% of their life in the wild is just like this acquisition of food.
yeah.
So that
So the
seems
dog.
hard.
Yeah, the dog.
So I'm thinking dog. But anyway, you're thinking dolphin. I like that because dolphins surf, and that is my happy place.
Yeah.
So, but I said that to her. What's the most happy animal? And she thought about it for a while. She goes, demented people. People with dementia.
yeah.
She said they're pretty happy. Not when they realize they have dementia,
Yeah.
but when they get into the zone where they no longer remember they had dementia, those people report a very, very happy.
Well, memory is creating all the
sad.
suffering.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the Sadhguru thing. It's like our faculties that make us incredible, memory and imagination.
Yeah.
That is what separates us as a species. It's all this human potential is linked to memory and imagination. And memory and imagination are also, it's a double-edged sword.
That's really interesting. Have you read Sapiens?
I have it in every form you can possibly have.
I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read
It's
it yet.
great. I love it. And what he says is what makes us us. And I don't think it contradicts what you're saying. Maybe it adds a new widget, or maybe they're contained within memory and imagination, is that what makes the human being the most exceptionally successful organism of all time is our ability to tell stories, to create mutual myths.
Yeah.
And in the animal kingdom, you are incapable of spreading your pod
Ideology. Yeah.
past your tribe, right?
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you come to a group of dolphins or chimpanzees, and you're like, who the fuck are you? This is our territory.
agree.
Fuck you. We say, I'm an American. And then, I meet an American in New York. And then we go, we're both Americans. I'm a Jew. Oh, we're both Jews.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian. We
Right.
create these mythologies, and we live inside of them, and it allows us to create webs of connection that then allow us to cooperate and make
Similar
farms.
to like mushrooms and the interconnectivity of the forest. We're doing it with ideas.
Exactly. And it allows us to cooperate for better or for worse,
Don't
right?
you kind of, you just made me realize, I haven't been to a McDonald's in 20 or more years, but when I see the Golden Arches, it kind of makes me smile.
Advertisement is
Exactly what we're
capitalizing on
talking
that
about.
on that very myth.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, exactly.
Are
like,
you, and when they talk about it, the colors of McDonald's and the values of McDonald's, it is like another ideology.
Oh, it is. Have you watched Adam Curtis documentaries? They're fantastic. And hypernormalization is one, and oh gosh, I'm gonna forget now that I'm trying to reference it. The one that is about advertisement, but it is Adam Curtis. But in it, he describes how modern advertisement began to understand the concept of the subconscious in order to get people to cooperate with the desire of the market. And one thing in particular, one of the case studies he cites is that women used to not smoke. Women weren't smokers because
Virginia Slims?
Cigarettes were for men.
Yeah,
right?
cowboys.
They looked like cowboys.
And they're little dicks.
And
Freud was
little
on something.
dick, sure.
Got your little dick, fire, death, testosterone.
And somebody looked and said, wait, half of people are women. We're missing out on all this. So all they started to do was think, how could women smoke? And then began things like Virginia Slims.
You've come a long way, baby.
You've come a long way, baby.
Woman, you have a job. Well, when they do that, when advertisers do that, it's like, what does your customer look like? And that's the first step. Is they're like, well, she's independent,
right?
She's successful. She's driven. She has it all,
and she can.
And she's thin, by the way,
right?
Virginia Slims.
Oh, it's aspirational. It's like
they're
a person.
They're not going to give the women the camel wides, as you said earlier, is for men. The wide ass.
I want to be big dick, big muscles, bulging muscles.
Virginia Slim.
So they basically paratroop into your shared mythology. You know, this is an interloper that you don't even know has arrived. Oh, I am woman. Yeah. Woman means something. Yeah. Boom. All of a sudden you've got this mold that says, you know what women do? Yeah. Women smoke Virginia Slims, and it's like super powerful psychological magic.
Yes.
That we're all sort of being manipulated by now, and more so now than ever in our algorithms. And this is, like I said, this is my lament. Is that this is my struggle? Is that life used to feel more magically accidental, and it used to feel more like Plinko, and now it feels more like you're on a water slide,
or there's a feeding tube.
Yes.
When we talk about the Plinko of me, okay, I'm going to sound like an old man shaking his fist at the crowd. So Richard Rohr's definition of evil is anything that lies about the fundamental nature of reality.
Okay.
It's a very loose definition. But is there anything with that definition more evil than just like social media and when the algorithm gets you and starts feeding you, and it's not accidental, it's not just the cliche of the 60s. I probably, idolize the 60s too much, but like you go to a happening and you meet somebody and there's a book on a shelf and all of these weird synchronicities. Now there really is math and data being crunched. We all see it. I click on the wrong guy. Or I'm not saying the wrong guy. I'm just saying like a different kind of guy on YouTube. I started eating meat, and part of it is YouTube.
Uh-huh.
That's fucking nuts. And I say that without shame, but with humility. Meaning I'm like, we are receiving information, authority figures, and things are shifting who we are. And when I let these sort of like circus, those balls like MTV News that have all the letters on it? Yeah. It's just like a Borg like metal of everything. And it just starts, and like, of course it changes me.
Well, that's this, and this part, what might be the scariest part is it's actually not malignant. It's random. It's on its own.
It doesn't know. It's also like, here's a speed running video. Yes. It doesn't have an agenda.
It's on its own mathematical kind of thing. And we are being served.
It will like you no matter what, as long as you're seeing the ads.
That's right. And you will slide down the ideological mudslide without even knowing you're going downward.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And we don't have to talk about meat. I just was like, isn't that interesting that I think of myself as a thing, and I'm like, but look. And that's why it helps me a little bit with compassion. I've tried to make this point before, but if you and I lived, you could use the ancient Greeks, everybody's bisexual, it seems, everybody's different values. You would have done those values.
Right.
In the same way, if you and I lived in, I don't want to say a place, we would own a gun, or we would hunt. If everyone I knew did this or did that, or you could say the other way just as easily, if the entire world was vegan and killing an animal was just like murdering somebody, would all be vegan. You know what I mean?
Well, then how do you account for the abolition movement? How do we account for people that buck the what we perceive as immoral?
Yeah. You're
mores
right.
of our
You're right.
time to become revolutionaries. Like, that's an interesting question. I always think like, I would be, if I lived in the South in the time of slavery, I would have been an abolitionist. I have no idea what would have stirred my soul to be righteous or to be complicit in such evil.
Right. No, I completely agree. And there are these outlying movements, and that's uniquely human. I think about, again, Terrence McKenna goes, find the others. It's like you're on this conveyor belt. He uses the conveyor belt image too. And it's like you go to school, you go to university, you get a wife, or a husband, and you get a job, you have kids, and then you die. And there's this image of like the people that jump off the conveyor belt and start running outside, and there's like a searchlight finding them. And it's like, that's a pretty good image of like what's going on.
Yeah. Obviously
what I'm doing is I'm not that iconoclastic, and I'm not that of an outlier externally. And, honestly, I haven't even put this together out loud, but it's because I don't want the trouble. I want everything to be as even as I can, so that inside it can be as uneven, as wild and crazy as I want to be inside.
You're saying that your external
it's like, why
life
not be
and trappings.
Why not be poly? Yeah, I completely understand you.
Right.
I don't want 15 girlfriends.
Yeah.
Because that becomes my life. It's like putting my finger in the wall with the leaks. I'm like, I don't want to spend my time negotiating the politics of 15 girlfriends, even if I can understand how like cosmically that would make sense or whatever. I'm like, I like paying taxes, doing shows, paying my bills, having a child, being a dad, being a husband. But that seems so square. But I'm like, do you know how much time that frees me up? I don't want to be in the rave scene and now I got to... It's like Louis, scandal noted, Louis has that great joke about... Louis Anderson.
Scandal noted.
Louis C.K. has the joke about like, I don't want to smoke pot because I don't want another thing. Like, you're leaving the house. Keys, wallet, phone, vape.
It's
like,
so
I just don't
funny.
want another fucking thing. And that's how I feel about almost everything. I'm like, that's just another... Even sometimes people, I'm like, look, I love people. I like even meeting new people. But at a certain point, you're like, I don't want another person to reply to your text. I'm trying to clean it up.
even people.
I don't want... I don't want 50 friends.
It's funny. I'm the opposite end of that. Not the friend thing of Louis' bit, scandal noted. Is that I'm still on nicotine.
I'm chewing it right now.
And I know a big part of why I don't want to give it up.
Because you do want a thing.
I want one thing. I don't want no things.
Moshe Kasher.
I don't want zero things.
I have gone off nicotine.
Yeah.
And I've gone off coffee. And then I was like, I'm not there yet. Meaning, I go to bed... Norman Lear said this when he was on the podcast. He's like, I go to bed with the taste of tomorrow's coffee in my mouth. And I go to bed, I have my coffee a couple hours after I've been up, and then I have my first nicotine after my first meal. So, but I love going like, there's a little thing coming.
Oh yeah.
It's just, and it goes back to the addict. It's like, you want to be addicted to something. Well, here's something benign you can be addicted to.
Well, that is that idea of that I think Alan Carr talks about in How to Stop Smoking, that like I've never read it, and that's why I'm still...
How to Stop Smoking the Easy Way.
Yeah, I've never read it, and that's why I'm still on these nicotine pods. But the idea is...
But it wouldn't... You didn't listen
How to Stop Sucking?
You didn't listen to the NPR about that?
I did hear it, and it was very funny to me. But you know what? By the way...
Because the data has changed, because there's this whole smokeless nicotine like life hack group, and that book, which is great and has helped so many people... Its whole premise is like, you're getting nothing from this. And they're like, but nicotine... But
you are getting something from it.
Shoots your dopamine and all these things.
This comes back to a point that I was trying to make earlier in our conversation that I want to make sure I double back on, which is I wrote this whole story about my time in AA, and it was by far my church for you.
You mean in Subculture Vulture?
That's correct. Available right now from Random House.
Question
mark? It was my church for you. It was it was my defining young life.
Oh yeah, let's finish this thought.
And then I had a very slow, and I mean, I cannot give to you, Pete. Like when it comes to Judaism, which is also one of the sections in the book,
Judaism.
I carry Judaism with such a loose garment kind of relationship with it. I love it, but I don't feel guilty when I don't do it. It's just like, it's ease. And because I've never had the experience of being a fundamentalist. And when it came to AA, I did have the experience of being a fundamentalist. It wasn't so much fire and brimstone, but it was definitely fundamentalism. This is all true. And one day, 20 years into it or something, I started to go, I don't know how much of this feels true to me anymore. I was 15 years old. I'm a permanent, unchangeable alcoholic, hardcore, no matter what, for me to drink is to die. That doesn't feel intellectually honest to say I know that for sure at 30 years old. Everything else about me when I was 15 is fundamentally and wildly different, but I know this one thing about me is permanent. All this stuff, this little thread, and it's what we were talking about at the beginning, this idea that maybe I need to move past this fundamentalism, which gave me this, when I did the spiritual work about that, I'll tell a short
Must
aside.
have been scary.
Well, it was very scary, and I didn't even see it coming. What happened was I was about...
CSI?
What's that? Yeah. I was about 15 years sober, and I was very stuck in judgment. I was the king of young people's AA in the Bay Area. I was the guy, and I was the sheriff. I would come to you, and I would go, Pete, we don't do that here, or whatever. That was my thing. And I started
Very similar to church.
Yes. Right.
And the new convert and the young convert.
Oh, the new nothing worse than the new convert. Nothing worse than
On fire.
Oh, just the worst.
Yeah.
2 years in.
Yeah.
2 years in, Burning Man, AA, I'm sure church, Judaism, 2 years in, let's not talk for another 6 years. Come on back to me when you have some doubts, right?
So good.
So my best friend, who I'd grown up with since I was 12, the guy that said, hey, are those Camel Wide? You want to come get high with me? He had gotten sober. And we had been sober I'd known this guy since I was 12. Everything I did with him. And he'd been dating this girl.
Brent Weinbach.
And it was not Brent Weinbach. This is an older friend than that. And he'd been dating this girl who was 9 months sober. And that's against Sheriff Moshe's rules of how to operate.
Not to date another
a person that's not sober for a year. That's hardcore against the rules.
Yeah.
And he'd been dating her for 6 months. Now she was a year and to change sober. And I found out. And I said, why didn't you tell me you were dating somebody?
Yes.
And he goes, well, I was afraid of what you would say.
Buddy, guess who's hard relating?
Yeah.
A friend of mine, they terminated a pregnancy. And I was like, why didn't you? That must have been so emotionally, wrought. And I'm your friend. He's like, I didn't want you to judge me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the worst.
Yeah.
Like a tumbleweed rolling through your labyrinth.
Exactly.
And I said, I had this moment, just that face, that was, I go, oh my God, my adherence to this thing that I think is bringing meaning to people is actually causing the people that I love to not ever get close to me because they're scared of me.
Right.
So I went to this new AA sponsor guy and I said, I want help. He was a much more of a weirdo, kind of Jungian. He wasn't old school conservative AA. And I kind of maybe a Rob Bell-ish person within the framework of the analogy we're making church to church, right?
Yeah.
And I went to, because I had before that been like APC pastor doing dabs for Christ, like cool on the outside, but like fire and brimstone on the inside.
Yeah.
The message was hard. The outfit was user friendly.
Yeah.
And then I went to a person who was really soft, and I said, "Help me become softer. I don't know what to do. My judgment is pushing people away." And he said to me, what would it be like, and this is a long time ago, but he said to me, what would it be like if you stopped commenting on other people's behavior altogether? And I'm not kidding, Pete. I had a physical reaction. It was like people will die. Like if I'm not there, if the sheriff isn't there, the world will fall apart into anarchy. Well, people will. I physically was panicking, and so I started this process with him.
It's a great BJ Novak joke where he goes, sometimes I'm on an airplane and I turn to the guy next to me. It's totally fake, obviously. And he just goes, do you think I can crash this plane just by thinking about it? And I think about that joke all the time because that's how we are.
Yeah.
We think we're keeping the plane up.
We 100%.
Yeah.
It is all illusion, but human greatness and stuff is real and it does affect people, but I'm not responsible for everyone's well-being, but I didn't know that. So I started this process of I'm going to stop. And here's how it would work. Here's how the process would work. For a while, I would see something wrong in a meeting. I would go to say it. I would look over at my soft sponsor who would like shake his head across the room at me. No. I would fight it back. And I would go, fucking, he's dead. Okay, well, he's dead. Fuck him. You know, it's like, he's dead. He'll die, and that's his problem. A little while would go.
They don't die.
Well, I didn't, yes. Time goes on, and I would see the behavior. I would judge the behavior. I'd think he's going to die, but it wouldn't fight its way out.
Oh, I see.
I wouldn't beat it back, and I would just stay silent and go, that's on you, buddy. You are a dead man walking, but I'm not saying nothing. And a little while would go by. A little while went on, and I would look at the behavior, and I not only would I not have to fight it back. I realized I didn't think it was wrong anymore. It was no longer. I had somehow shifted my reality so much that the thing that was a sin, it just felt like grist for the mill, right? And that was like freeing,
Like a parent, like unnamed child is going to have hard times, and you're going to know, like, I know your first partner seems like this, that you want to explain it to them, but you're like, touch the stove. It's like a touch the stove.
Exactly. It's not even a sin anymore. It's just what you're doing, and it has nothing to do with me. My soft sponsor describes it as going from isn't that awful to isn't that interesting. And that was the sort of the shift that I had. And that was awesome. That was so freeing.
So good.
I was in a bondage that I couldn't feel because I had fashioned the chains.
Yeah.
And then when I loosed the chains, I was like light and free. But something odd happened as a result of loosing the chains.
Modern Mammals is the best chimp. I'm sorry. I thought
Sports Center. But something happened, which is that by taking away one of the fundamentals of this expansive quilt that I had knitted of truth, it became this little thread that I started to tug on, and I was free, and I was feeling freedom and good, and then all of a sudden the thread became a bigger and bigger hole in the reality that I thought that I understood. The problem with fundamentalism is that if some of it isn't true anymore, it's possible that none of it's true. And that was the space that I found myself in. It took many years of me slowly coming to this realization that the 12 steps, I love them, and I still live my life by the principles that I found in there. Judaism has 613 spiritual laws. There are laws governing every single behavior. When you go to the bathroom, you come out, you say a blessing. When you cut bread, you eat bread, you say a blessing. When you see, everything. And I think it's a very powerful and beautiful system, but it's too complex for me.
It's not very chill.
It is not chill.
It is
no one
not
has
chill.
ever accused my people of being chill. That is not one of our primary.
You blessing that bread slicing? It's chill.
That's very, very chill.
Christians have that too. I'm going to cast the demon out of this chair before I sit down. We have that.
Interesting. That does sound chill.
That's very. I did it. I didn't do it to your chair. Sorry.
Oh, it's here. Oh no, you invited the demon to speak to you today.
Go into that chair.
So I had this really slow motion, and I describe it in the book as it felt very similar to what I imagine it would be like to be an elder in a church and realize one day that you don't believe in God anymore, and you go, "What do I do?" I'm terrified. If I tell the truth about myself,
Your whole life goes away.
it all goes away. And not only does my physical life, my wife, my friends, my church leave me, but I have to admit the reality, which is really scary and chaotic, which is inside of this belief system, things are very orderly.
Yeah.
And I really have the answers, and I don't think I have the answers anymore.
Well, you were in the Garden of Gethsemane. You were going, I'm about to be crucified.
Interesting.
And you're like, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
And isn't that why that's such a powerful symbol?
That's
Your
exact-
friends sell you out. It's like, I remember seeing this video. Boy, it was a long time ago, but he was like, my meditation practice is I'm on a river going towards God, and on the shore is everything in my life, and I'm just waving goodbye to it. And I saw that way before I was ready to even think about that.
Yeah.
But I was like, that is what it is. It's like none of it comes with you. And then ultimately, Moshe's on the shore too.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? So
Yes.
you're doing something very sacred.
You're
very
reminding me
beautiful.
of this guy Lord, who was a just a true one of a kind person in AA in the Bay Area, covered in he looked like Skeletor.
Bay
Yes, in Bay Area, covered in skeleton tattoos on his face, like one of the most intense looking guys ever. And he used to say, there came a certain point in my life in recovery where I had to stop backing away from a bottle and turn around and start walking toward God. And that to me was the choice, was like, I was so scared of what it would mean to let go of my identity as a person in this universe, not only because there's messaging in the program that if you go away, you're going to drink again, and if you drink again, to drink is to die, and that you will be miserable. If you stay sober, you'll be a dry drunk and be a miserable person. Not only that, but also because my friends would judge me and my identity would be gone. And the thing that I said, I'm a woman, I am a Christian, I am an American, I am a Jew. If I let go of that, what am I? And I couldn't let fear determine that large of a decision. And so I made this very slow extraction.
It's so I'm decidedly not saying AA is a cult. So nobody put that in my face. I'm saying there's a similarity. If you leave the cult, you'll become. I just watched a great cult documentary, but is that sort of like, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. It's one of the hardest things in the world.
And so when I was writing this book, I felt a real self-consciousness because not only do I have some thought conditioning, but I also truly believe that for a lot of people, 12 steps and AA are powerful medicine that can help them, that really works. I really do think that it works for people. I used to think it was the only thing that would work for people, but I know that it does work for people. It worked for me. It saved my life, and I'm still living my life according to the principles that I lived in it. But I was really scared that by writing this book and describing in frank terms, Subculture Vulture, available now, Random House, describing in frank terms what happened to me and where I'm at now, that I would be putting people who read it at risk of, unraveling their own quilt. Yeah. And then I had to realize, just like I'm not responsible for people in the meeting behaving correctly, I'm also not responsible for somebody else's sobriety journey. I'm just talking about my own
but
thing.
It's fierce. Yeah. You're just acknowledging that what you've written is fierce.
I
fierce
guess
doesn't
so.
mean bad.
Yeah.
When I love A Course in Miracles and I read it, I'm like, this is like heavy metal. This is like really not gentle at all.
Interesting.
And you're doing something fierce, but that's really powerful. So a couple things came up in Breathing Underwater, Richard Rohr's book about the 12 steps that I love. He says, we're all addicts. We're addicted to our own way of thinking.
I love that.
And so he's like, I don't care if you're an alcoholic. The 12 steps apply to you. And here you are saying, here's a way of thinking that maybe became an addiction just for you.
Yes, 100%.
And then the Ram Dass thing that he used to get in trouble for, not in the way that we say trouble now, like canceled and all big scandal. He just means people didn't like it. In the old days.
And people just not like an idea and challenge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, cut off his face. But and I quote it all the time, but he's like, you don't want to be Jewish, you want to be free. You don't want to be in the program, you want to be free. You don't even want to be sober, you want to be free.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a Christian, I don't want to be this, you want to be free.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll enjoy this. He also says all methods are traps. So AA is a method, but so is everything beautiful and wonderful.
Right.
And he goes, and the last step is to destroy the method.
Yeah.
And Ramana Maharshi says that too. He's like, the method, let's take AA out of it. Let's say it's Christianity. You're stoking the fire of your being, and you're using the method to get the fire bigger.
Yeah.
And he goes, and the last step is, when you're making a fire, you throw the stick that you've been poking it into the fire, meaning it all has to go. That's what I mean by fierce. But what you're saying to me, I haven't read it yet, but that sounds very in line with these fierce ideas that, let's be honest, people don't like. Nobody you're like a guy on the 4th of July saying America doesn't exist. Look at it.
Or we're founded in sin.
Or even worse, you could do that. But it's even more extreme to say when you drive between states, there's no line. You're like, it's just an idea. Wake up.
So that is when we get to the lament. Yes, I agree with everything that you're saying, and a big part of this book is me in these worlds, traveling through this. Each segment is a comedic history of the. It's not just a memoir; it's also a history.
Oakland Judaism.
the A's hat, I never quite understood what it's doing in there, but yes, it's Judaism.
I like it because you're about to put on your hats. Like you put on your
Yes,
yarmulke.
throwing one hat off and putting on another, which is what I did. Which is what I did. As you know, I would. My summer vacation was flying from Oakland, where I was a secular Oakland public school kid with no religious life whatsoever, and throwing off my A's cap and putting on a yarmulke and pretending to be a Hasidic Jew for 6 weeks a year.
Yeah, all the most interesting people are those double live motherfuckers.
I mean, you say about Judaism and I envy you for this identity and blah blah blah, but the truth is my identity is both profoundly more Jewish than probably almost any of the Jews and profoundly less Jewish than all of the Jews because I only did a hyperchar. I was like waterboarded pre-war Judaism 6 weeks a year, and then I would come home and be a regular kid. So I couldn't read Hebrew, but I did know how to greet you in Yiddish. I mean, there's a story in the book when I couldn't read Hebrew and it was coming up on my bar mitzvah, and I couldn't read Hebrew. I mean, I couldn't read the alphabet. You're supposed to be reading the Torah. Everybody in the neighborhood spoke Yiddish as a first language. I didn't know the Hebrew alphabet. And this local rabbi on my summer vacation, Rabbi Meisels, very nice guy, he said to my dad, he could see I was struggling, and he said to my dad, give him to me, and I'll teach him Hebrew. And this was in the early 90s where you could, ask for some alone time with a child. They'd be handed over, no questions asked, right? So I went to his house. And every week I would do the alphabet with the ABCs with the local community rabbi. This is like a Talmudic scholar teaching me the ABCs. It's like Alan Turing teaching you the times tables. That's the level of and it was very kind.
Yeah, it is kind.
And compassionate of him. And I was struggling. I couldn't do it.
Too bad you were wasting it on such a stupid language.
Wait, is that
a broken and useless, pointless
How
language.
did you become a Keebler elf? Too bad you were wasting it on such a useless language.
Let's go make some EL fudge. Or as they call it in the Hispanic community, the fudge.
The fudge. So I'm sitting there being taught the ABCs by this guy in prep for my bar mitzvah. I'm like, I don't know, 11 years old, and he can see I'm struggling. And he goes, don't worry. Hold on. Shmuley, come in. And he calls his oldest son, Shmuley, who comes in, and he goes, say the American alphabet. We're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This kid was born in Brooklyn, by the way.
Yeah.
This is a born in America kid. Yeah. He goes, say American alphabet. And Shmuley goes, oh, no. A, B, C, D, G. And then the rabbi claps me on the back. He's like, look, he is stupid in English. You are stupid in Hebrew. Everybody's stupid. Isn't that a beautiful story? What a fucking mensch this guy was.
That's the definition of a mensch. I have to go.
Okay, listen.
I always book a lunch on the dumbest guests. But
wait, what?
Meaning you're a 3-hour episode easy. But here we are at a peak note. You close on such a great laugh. I feel good. Do you feel good?
Yes.
What?
I want to just close my thought here and say, and this will be the end, that these are the universes that I spent my life in. And these are what you were talking about with the fire.
Yeah.
It's like Siddhartha's thing. I mean, I have not reached enlightenment or even close to it. But I realize now, having written this book and looking back, yes, each one of these was a coat that I tried on. Each one of these was an identity that I clung to. But each one of them is a universe that have made up the building blocks of who I am.
Yeah.
And I love them. I love these worlds so much. I love AA. I love Burning Man. I love the rave world. I love deafness. All of these created me.
In the hip hop way?
What?
Deafness?
Yes. Deaf. You know that my mom, do you know that, you want to hear an early joke of mine? Yeah, I know you got a lunch. This is one of my first stand-up jokes. Very stupid.
Can't wait.
Well, the truth is my mom, even though she's never been able to hear my comedy, has always been a huge fan of me doing it and really supportive. In fact, some of my early open mics, Pete, she used to come to my shows and she would sit outside of the shows and she would sell homemade preserves that she'd made to support me going on the road and keep me in the world. And well, the truth is, Pete, they became popular. They became their own they kind of had a life of their own. And you've heard of
Def Jam?
Def Comedy Jam? Yeah. All right, I think we could probably wrap it there.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. What a treat. You are just a gift, a true gift.
Oh, thank you, Pete. We went in places I didn't expect, and I loved everyone that we discovered. So
We Plinkoed.
we definitely plinkoed. We definitely
And we've
plinkoed.
rippled our lives. And thank you for everybody for listening. Check out Subculture Vulture, a
Yeah.
memoir in 6 scenes by Moshe Kasher in the Rye.
Kasher.
Kasher.
Moshe Adolf Hitler Kasher. I love you.
I love you too. Would you say keep it crispy?
Oh, yeah. I think you should all keep it crispy.
Will you do it in the voice?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Hold on.
Hello. If there's one thing I want to impress upon you, it's that you should not do any interracial dating. But if there are 2 things I want to impress upon you, it's that you should keep it crispy.
Thank you, Moshe.
Good day.
Good day to you, sir.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird.